Chapter 2649. My goal is to kill you. In the chaos of the universe, anomalies would be born at a certain time. They would be rising stars who would defeat famous experts and become famous in Qing province. Clearly, the anomaly was the one who chased after him. What was certain was that the name of being hunted was deeply engraved in everyone's hearts. Amazing. Lei Tianlan also smiled. It was a smile of appreciation. Beside her, Yu Cheng had an ugly expression on his face. Previously, he had asked Lin Ling to call a truce with the Holy Guardian, but Lin Ling had refuted him. At that time, he thought that Lin Ling was overestimating himself and was simply courting death. But in the end, the one who died was Holy Tycoon. He had become even more delusional. In reality, he was even more aware that with his strength, he might not be able to gain an advantage in a battle against the pursuers. This further proved that how could he be qualified to make the pursuers work for him? At this moment, Yu Cheng felt unbearably ashamed. He even flew into a rage out of humiliation, as if he had lost all face. Fortunately, I didn't fight him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to defeat him. As for Meng Lu, his expression was extremely solemn. His intuition was right. Based on the terrifying strength that Lin Ling had displayed earlier, he estimated that the battle between him and Lin Ling would end in a draw. Therefore, he did not fight with Lin Ling now. This was indeed a good choice. Good. The meeting of heroes is completely over. The first place is the pursuit. At this time, Lei Tianlan's voice finally rang out. She glanced at the crowd, as if asking if anyone had any objections. However, at the foot of Black Tortoise Mountain, it was completely silent. No one had any objections. The power of the pursuit was obvious to all. Lei Tianlan stood up and said to Lin Ling with a smile, "You want to hunt me down, right? Your talent and strength are excellent. You are decisive and daring to take responsibility for your actions. You will become a great person in the future. On behalf of the Lane Mansion, I will reward you with the Lane Token, which is a supreme-grade celestial treasure that can block a large number of attacks from the true immortal realm." It had to be said that she indeed had the ambition to do great things. She had already openly bribed Lin Ling. Of course, after she finished speaking, she quietly looked at Xianling Long. She was thinking that no matter what, she had to snatch this opportunity from Xianling Long. A supreme-grade immortal treasure. Hearing Lei Tianlan's words, the crowd burst into an uproar. To be able to block the attacks of large numbers of true god realms, this treasure was very heaven-defying. With this treasure, his strength would increase by at least 50%. Many people looked at Chase Assassin with envy, but they were helpless because Chase Assassin was indeed worthy of being recruited with great treasures. That bitch! In the distance, Xian Linglong's face was extremely ugly. She was the one who had chased after Yi Shiwen's men, but Lei Tianlan had openly recruited them. Wasn't this embarrassing for her? Furthermore, after the battle on the arena, she placed great importance on being hunted down. How could she hand it over so easily? Give it to her. However, at this time, an ethereal voice sounded in her ears. It was Meng Lu, and his words made Xian Linglong frown, as if she didn't understand. Lin Ling will never become Lei Tianlan's man. He has his own principles, and he must take revenge for any enmity. Therefore, no matter what Lei Tianlan plans to do, Lin Ling will definitely kill her. Meng Lu transmitted his voice again. Xian Linglong couldn't help but smile. This was beneficial to her. Moreover, if Lin Ling killed Lei Tianlan, he would have nowhere to go. At that time, it would be the time for Xian Linglong to extend an olive branch. One had to admit, whether it was Xian Linglong or Lei Tianlan, both of them were extremely shrewd. But don't think too much about it. Lin Ling is not someone you can control. However, Meng Lu's next words made Xian Linglong freeze on the spot. She couldn't control Lin Ling? Moreover, these words came from Meng Lu? If it was someone else who said this, she wouldn't believe it. After all, with her identity as the Azure Dragon Mansion's daughter, a mere Lin Ling shouldn't be difficult to control. However, she couldn't help but believe Meng Lu's words. At this time, Lin Ling ignored Xian Linglong. Just like what Meng Lu said, he had no intention of joining the Azure Dragon Mansion, nor did he intend to be controlled by anyone. He walked towards Lei Tianlan. Chase seems to be Azure Dragon Mansion's Xian Linglong's man, but now, he has switched sides and joined the Thundersound Manor. A top-grade immortal artifact. This isn't something that anyone can refuse. Looking at Lin Ling's actions, many people began to speculate. Lei Tianlan smiled faintly, and she was a little excited. She had finally succeeded in recruiting Chase. She had a feeling that in the future, Chase's name would shake the great Azure Divine dynasty. She watched as Chase walked step by step towards the high platform, and a smile appeared on her face. She also went up to welcome him, and a thunder sound token appeared in her hand, ready to reward Lin Ling. Watching the distance between the two getting closer and closer, at the foot of the Black Tortoise Mountain, Sakura sneered. He knew that the real battle was about to begin. His second brother was finally close to Lei Tianlan. Chase, your sword, your flame capital is very powerful. Today, in order to make your name known in the Four-Ring City, you have indeed put in a lot of effort. Gradually, the two got closer, and Lei Tianlan took the initiative to speak. Her eyes were full of admiration because even when Chase met her, he was still indifferent and unmoved. This kind of calmness was rare, at least when other men saw her. Most of them were excited. In order to achieve my goal, I have been working hard all this time. Lin Ling also spoke. His voice was very cold. In order to achieve your goal, your indomitable perseverance is indeed worthy of us cultivators to learn. Now, you have achieved your goal, and can you take off your mask? Lei Tianlan tucked the hair in front of her forehead behind her ear, revealing a beautiful smile. That smile immediately made Yu Cheng's face turn ugly. He naturally could see that Lei Tianlan admired Chase very much. Unfortunately, although he was not convinced, it seemed that he could not find a way to suppress Chase. My goal has not been achieved yet. However, Lin Ling said lightly and indifferently, you want to see my face? Yes, I'm very curious and I'm looking forward to it. According to my knowledge, swordsmen are cold and aloof, so your face under the mask must be extraordinary. Lei Tianlan laughed again, which made Lin Ling shake his head with a sarcastic smile on his face. In the past, he had no enmity with Lei Tianlan, but Lei Tianlan coveted his space-time steel, framed him, killed him, and made Yu and the others suffer countless times. Today, he came to kill Lei Tianlan. Ironically, Lei Tianlan was actually looking forward to seeing his face under the mask. If Lei Tianlan knew that he was Lin Ling, who knew what she would think? My appearance will definitely surprise you. However, compared to my appearance, let me first tell you my purpose. Lin Ling said indifferently as he slowly pulled out the sword on his back. This action undoubtedly surprised Lei Tianlan, but she believed that Chase would not do anything excessive to her, unless he was stupid. Therefore, she subconsciously rejected this idea, and even thought that Chase seemed to be asking her to help him forge a sword. Yes, this might be the purpose of Chase. And the Lane Mansion also had the strength to do so. Then what is your goal? Lei Tianlan asked kindly. Clang! The sword flashed, and the killing intent was fierce. A sword seemed to pass through the void, and ruthlessly shot towards Lei Tianlan. Chapter 2650. Why do I want to kill you? The sword shocked the world. Everyone at the foot of Black Tortoise Mountain was shocked, especially when they heard Lin Ling's firm words. Is he going to kill Lei Tianlan? It should be known that Lei Tianlan attached great importance to Huntsman, even more so than her fiancé, Yu Cheng. However, Huntsman gave up such great love and wanted to kill Lei Tianlan. This is crazy. Lei Tianlan was the daughter of the Lane Manor. Killing her was equivalent to offending the Lane Manor. No normal person would give up a bright future just to offend Lei Tianlan. Some people even thought they were hallucinating. However, the sword revealed a cold glint and killed decisively. It was so firm. It was so ruthless. Everything was in the name of being hunted. Why? Lei Tianlan was the commander-in-chief and the daughter of the Lane Manor. Her strength was not weak. She retreated like a willow catkin. However, she only asked because she couldn't figure it out. Unfortunately, the sword did not answer her. It was still coming at her coldly. Boom. However, Lei Tianlan immediately unleashed an ancient and turbulent chi power. A huge purple bamboo appeared in front of her. The bamboo was covered with purple thunder and attracted the pursuing sword. Lane bamboo. Seeing this, many ancient experts' faces changed slightly. They could see that it was the thunderclap token. According to legend, the Lane token was made by the Lane bamboo. The Lane bamboo was a divine bamboo that grew in the chaos of the universe. It eventually became the master of the Lane Manor. Crackle! However, the sword was still chasing her. The Ashura sword formation shot out, filling the sky with sword shadows and shocking the world. Boom! With a loud boom, the sky exploded and the whole Four-Ring City was shaken. How is it? The people at the foot of Black Tortoise Mountain clenched their fists and were extremely nervous. Today's event was full of twists and turns. Lei Tianlan is a commander-in-chief, and she's from the Lane Prefecture. She must be stronger than commander-in-chief. That chase can't kill her. Someone said coldly. If the chase failed, he would die. In the sky, the lightning gradually dispersed, revealing a slender figure. She stood in the sky like a queen. She was Lei Tianlan. On the other side, Lin Ling was also standing there, his eyes sparkling. Lei Tianlan was indeed the daughter of the Lane Manor. She had a strong background. Look, it failed. Seeing the two of them appear, many people immediately made a noise. Indeed, chasing after Lei Tianlan wouldn't be able to kill her, not even a strand of her hair. Even the Azure Dragon Mansion's Xian Linglong might not have the ability to kill Lei Tianlan. Humph, you're overestimating yourself. Someone else said disdainfully. Perhaps the pursuit today was too dazzling, so they were jealous and wanted nothing more than for the latter to die in front of them. However, after that voice, a strand of black hair floated down from the sky like a withered flower. People saw that although Lei Tianlan was fine, the hair on her cheek had been cut off by the sword. This meant that if Lei Tianlan did not have the protection of the Lane token, she might have died. So scary. This unforeseen event made people's hearts tremble, especially those who were gloating over Lei Tianlan's misfortune. Their expressions froze, speechless. Why kill me? In the sky, Lei Tianlan crossed her arms behind her back, but her expression was cold. At the same time, thousands of eyes were on the pursuit. They were also curious as to why the pursuit didn't let Lei Tianlan go. Your strength is not bad, even I am wary of you. However, I have the Lane token, you can't kill me. So, you better tell me why you want to kill me. Lei Tianlan said again. At this moment, she seemed to be fearless. Hearing this, Lin Ling remained motionless. His hand slowly reached for the mask on his face. The moment his hand touched the mask, an even more mysterious aura filled the air. Rumble. The first to change were the swords floating around Lin Ling. Those swords began to turn pitch black. The Ashura sword formation returned to its original form. Ashura sword! Exclamation point. At the foot of Black Tortoise Mountain, many people who practiced the Ashura sword formation exclaimed, "There are 81 swords. As far as I know, there are no more than 3 people in the first generation who have this sword." Someone suddenly guessed, could it be him? Boom. At the same time, the terrifying flame coffin appeared behind Lin Ling. The flame coffin had arrived. It's really him. Yes. At this moment, the whole Black Tortoise Mountain was shocked. If the Ashura sword formation could not represent that person, then the flame coffin definitely could. In the Pride tournament, the strongest second generation defeated Meng Lu. At that time, he showed the flame coffin. Because of his unique temperament, it was also talked about in the 3 academies. Who is he? Yes. Of course, there were countless experts in the Four-Ring City, and there were still some who did not realize it. Lin Ling. Yes. When an ancient voice floated up, Black Tortoise Mountain became even quieter. Even the strongest generation, although they did not take Lin Ling seriously, had heard of Lin Ling's name. Of course, the most surprised person was Lei Tianlan. Her eyes were fixed as if she could not believe everything in front of her eyes. Lin Ling was still alive and had returned. She could not help but think of the past. At that time, Lin Ling was the strongest second generation, but he exposed the time steal, so she was very interested in Lin Ling. She invited Lin Ling to meet her and tried to kill him. Who knew that Lin Ling was so difficult to deal with, and he would rather die than submit. Lei Tianlan did not care about all of this at all. He was just the strongest second generation, and that was all he could achieve in his life. However, in today's brave stratagem gathering, a mysterious assassin was born. He overcame all difficulties and finally became the king of the arena, which made her pay great attention to him and think that he had unlimited potential. However, the person she paid attention to was Lin Ling, who she did not take seriously in the past. How terrifying. Wow! Lei Tianlan had to admit that she had indeed underestimated Lin Ling. The strongest second generation in the past had now become the 30th generation on the Heavenly Crossing list. With such progress, who else in Qingzhou could compare to him? Lin Ling, the strongest second generation not long ago, has now entered the 30th generation. Wow! After Lei Tianlan recovered from her shock, people also realized how monstrous Lin Ling was. They also felt that it was ironic that Lei Tianlan wanted to kill Lin Ling in the past. But now she valued Lin Ling so much that she did not hesitate to give up Yucheng for Lin Ling. All of this felt like a dream. Lei Tianlan must be regretting it now. No wonder you wear a mask. All of this is to get close to me. Lei Tianlan seemed to understand everything. She was in an extremely complicated mood. Finally, she smiled and said, "How about we shake hands and make peace?" Boom. Hearing that, countless people's hearts exploded. Chapter 2651. His principles would never change, because they knew Lei Tianlan's pride. Such a noble woman would never lower her noble head, unless a miracle happened. And today a miracle had indeed happened. However, they knew that Lei Tianlan didn't admit defeat. She just didn't want to give up on a talented young man. "I was wrong in the past, and I apologize here. But as long as you agree to shake hands and make peace, I promise you on behalf of Lane Manor that we will train you with all our resources. We will even let you enter the great Azure Divine Dynasty. You will be qualified to step into the Five-Ring City and stand at the peak of Qingzhou." Lei Tianlan said again. She was indeed shocked by Lin Ling's strength. Moreover, in order to get close to her, Lin Ling had overcome all difficulties. This kind of courage was also the courage to do great things. Therefore, she valued Lin Ling very much. Enter Five-Ring City. Hearing Lei Tianlan's words, many people became even more jealous, but they also felt that Lin Ling had the qualifications. After all, not everyone could charge to the 30th place on the Heavenly Crossing rankings in such a short period of time. This was also the potential that only the 9 heavens of the Azure State possessed. "Are you trying to recruit me?" At this moment, Lin Ling let out a calm laugh. "That's right. Do you agree?" Lei Tianlan looked at Lin Ling calmly and said, "I can tell you that you can't kill me, so why are you so stubborn?" She obviously gave Lin Ling enough face. However, Lin Ling knew that Lei Tianlan was only giving him face because of his strength. Lei Tianlan was an ambitious person who valued strength more than anything else. "Do you know my life principle?" Lin Ling shook his head and said. Then he saw Lei Tianlan's eyes twinkling. He said again, "I will treat people the same way they treat me. This is my principle, and it will never change." It would never change. When the last word was spoken, the entire Black Tortoise Mountain was completely silent. Lin Ling seemed to have given his answer. He refused. What courage? He's so stubborn. If he doesn't have a stubborn personality, then how can he grow? I finally know why he is so powerful. It is precisely because he is firm and won't be tempted by external things. This Lin Ling is really arrogant. Some of the ancient experts exclaimed in admiration. If a person kept going back on his words, he might be able to do well in the short term. But in the long run, it would be detrimental to the path of martial arts. Unfortunately, how many people could actually do it? Therefore, they could see from this that Lin Ling was also a martial arts fanatic. "Since you can't kill me, do you really want to die? Wouldn't it be better to give up everything and make peace with me?" Lei Tianlan's pupils turned red, as if she was still unwilling to give up. "It will never change." Lin Ling stepped forward. His grip on the sword became even steadier. In the holy land of the rainforest, his principles would never change. In the martial god world, his principles would never change. If they changed, he wouldn't be Lin Ling. The Thunder Sound Manor is a powerful force in the Four-Ring City. Even the Azure Dragon Manor doesn't dare to provoke us. Moreover, the Thunder Sound Manor can meet the great Azure Divine Dynasty's divine sovereign and allow you to have a meteoric rise in your future. Are you really going to give up everything? Lei Tianlan shouted again. She didn't believe that Lin Ling would give up everything. It will never change. However, Lin Ling's voice was as firm as ever. Perhaps he could have a limitless future if he joined the Thunder Sound Manor, but it went against his principles. Moreover, who would bear the pain that Yu and the others suffered? Moreover, if Lin Ling was really recruited, then he might lose his sense of gratitude. How others treat me, how should I treat others? If someone did Lin Ling a favor in the future, would Lin Ling attack his benefactor in order to become stronger? This was something that Lin Ling would never be able to do. Therefore, his principles were irreversible. I, Lin Ling, have been preparing for this day for a long time. Lei Tianlan, you said that I can't kill you, but let me tell you, even God can't save you. Lin Ling roared towards the sky. The flame coffin behind him emitted a crackling sound, as if something was about to awaken. Seeing this, fear rose in Lei Tianlan's heart. Lin Ling was too determined. In a battle between cultivators, the most terrifying thing was this kind of indomitable martial fanatic. Whoosh! At the same time, a sword shot towards Lei Tianlan. Lin Ling had made his move. Lin Ling, how dare you? Do you really think you're something? However, at this time, a roar erupted. Rolling sound waves rushed towards them from all directions. A huge white fish appeared in the sky, opening its mouth and swallowing Lin Ling. The most frightening thing was that this white fish had huge wings. There was a fish in the northern underworld named Kuan. This was the true bloodline of the Kuan. Many similar martial arts had been born in the myriad worlds, but they were all imitations of the Kuan's original form. It was said that in the chaos of the universe, there was a fish swimming in the myriad worlds. When it spread its wings, it transformed into a rock and could easily travel between worlds. It's Marshal Yu Cheng. Seeing this, many people exclaimed. Yu Cheng's talent was not to be underestimated. Most importantly, he was the marshal of the Skyward Battalion. To be able to become a marshal, their strength was naturally not to be underestimated. Yu Cheng is going to stop Lin Ling, and it is said that Lin Ling is also a marshal of the Martial God Battalion. This is a battle between marshals. I think Yu Cheng is stronger. Today, although I admire Lin Ling's spirit, it's obvious that he can't kill Lei Tianlan. However, this is also Lin Ling's best chance. If he misses it, it will be even harder to kill him. Many experts clenched their fists, and their hearts were inexplicably surging. This gathering of heroes had quietly become an earth-shattering battle in the Four-Ring City. The reason was Lin Ling. At this moment, who didn't know him? Yu Cheng's attack could be said to have exploded with his full strength, because the white giant fish was his true god martial soul. The surging aura made the experts shake their heads, thinking that Lin Ling would be stopped by Marshal Yu Cheng. Rumble. In fact, it was indeed so. The giant fish opened its mouth, as if it was going to swallow the heavens and the earth. Most importantly, the giant fish's speed was extremely fast, like a rock, causing Lin Ling to be unable to react in time. Then, he was swallowed into the fish's stomach. The victory and defeat seemed to be clear at a glance. What a pity. Seeing this scene, Xian Linglong couldn't help but shake her head regretfully. Lin Ling, after all, was a rising star. He was still a little weaker than Yu Cheng, who had been famous for a long time. He shouldn't have died so easily. Next to her, Meng Lu frowned. He didn't think that Lin Ling was a match for Yu Cheng, but he thought that it would be a pity for Lin Ling to die like this, because he still wanted to defeat Lin Ling. Tianlan, that ignorant junior has been killed by me. At this moment, Yu Cheng's domineering voice came from the sky, causing Black Tortoise Mountain to sway continuously. He seemed to have proven himself, which made him very excited, because he also told Lei Tianlan that a mere Lin Ling couldn't be compared to him, the marshal of the Heaven Tribute Camp. Hearing this, Lei Tianlan also let out a sigh of relief. Previously, Lin Ling had indeed frightened her. She wanted to smile and nod, but her pupils suddenly shrank, and all the words were swallowed back into her stomach. Chapter 2652. In the name of being hunted. The huge ancient fish continued to sway, and flames were spewing out from its mouth. What happened? I used the true god martial soul. In fact, Yu Cheng could feel the ominous premonition the most, and his face turned pale. Thump, thump. Almost at the same time, the terrifying sound of a heartbeat was heard, causing the hearts of many Black Tortoise Mountain warriors to jump. Could that be Lin Ling's true god martial soul? Someone stared at the sky and said anxiously. His words made many people nod. Lin Ling had never shown his true god martial soul until now. But he gave birth to a true god martial soul at the true god realm, which made people wonder how Lin Ling cultivated. Boom. At this moment, the terrifying flames surged out majestically. The huge white fish actually twitched as it was burned by the colorful flames. Puff! Yu Cheng spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were filled with fear. He knew that Lin Ling was very strong, so he immediately used his full strength and used his true god martial soul to quickly devour Lin Ling. He didn't want to give Lin Ling any chance to resist. However, he found that he couldn't devour Lin Ling. His true god martial soul dimmed, and finally exploded. A coffin full of flames floated in the sky, a ghastly sight. On the coffin, the ancient heart from the flame world was beating slightly. Every time it beat, a melody spread out, and circles of flame clouds bloomed. This scene made the ground even more silent. The flame coffin and the heart were the most monstrous things they had ever seen in their lives. Especially the flame coffin. The lid of the coffin was constantly trembling, as if something terrible was awakening. "I am the pursuit." Finally, a low voice came from the coffin, and the lid of the coffin finally exploded. An evil flame god covered in red scales appeared in the world. Red hair danced wildly, and the flames were shocking. At this moment, not only the warriors on the ground, but even Yu Cheng and Lei Tianlan's hearts trembled. That evil ancient object gave them a strong sense of pressure. "It's you." At this moment, the red-haired man in the sky looked at Yu Qingdao. Yu Qingdao opened his mouth wide and didn't dare to say a word. A hero saving a damsel in distress, this is something that everyone praises. "I also like it very much." The man spat out a sentence. He actually disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Yu Cheng. His speed reached the speed of 5 realms. It was too fast, no one was able to react at all. It could be said that in this generation, other than the top few people on the Tianhua list, no one could see through this speed. "Me." Looking at the tall man, Yu Cheng said nervously, "I give up. This matter has nothing to do with me. If you want to kill her, then kill her. I won't interfere anymore." In the face of an unfathomable strength, Yu Cheng obviously gave up on Lei Tianlan. The reason why he pursued Lei Tianlan was because of the Lane mansion. "This is Yu Cheng's?" Seeing Yu Cheng abandon Lei Tianlan without hesitation, many people's eyes immediately flashed with sarcasm. "You're the marshal? You want to recruit me? You want me to be your general?" The red-haired man smiled and seemed to be very curious. Hearing this, Yu Cheng's face froze and was full of awkwardness. Was he qualified? He was also a marshal like Lin Ling, but when he saw Lin Ling, he could only tremble, fear, and even beg for mercy. "I was wrong." Yu Cheng lowered his head and said, his body still trembling. "You're afraid of me?" The red-haired man tilted his head, his expression full of ridicule. His words made Yu Cheng raise his head involuntarily. He could give up on Lei Tianlan, but he seemed unwilling to lower his noble head. However, the pride in his heart, when he saw the red-haired man's evil smile, the confidence that Yu Cheng had just built up collapsed instantly. He lowered his head and said sincerely, "Your Excellency, I'm indeed afraid. Please spare my life. I won't be involved in your matters anymore." After saying this, he immediately turned and left. He was indeed afraid of everything. However, he was also very careful when he turned around, afraid that Lin Ling would attack him. However, Lin Ling obviously didn't attack, which made him feel relieved. Looking at the cautious Yu Cheng, the crowd felt that it was extremely ironic. Marshal Yu Cheng was obviously a person who bullied the weak and feared the strong. He seemed to be domineering, but he was only strong in appearance. However, people were also very curious. Did Lin Ling really intend to let Yu Cheng go? "He's dead." However, Sakura sneered. He knew his second brother's temperament. If people didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If people offended him, he would pay them back 10 times. Sure enough, after he spoke, the red-haired man's figure vanished and reappeared in front of Yu Cheng. Yu Cheng's pupils constricted. At this moment, he felt as if he was a rabbit that had been targeted by a ferocious wolf. "You promised to let me go," Yu Cheng said with a pale face. He seemed to be able to guess what would happen next. "I did promise you, but you made me very unhappy. Because you didn't continue to act like a hero saving a beauty. I hate people who give up halfway." The red-haired man revealed an evil smile. He stretched out one hand and, with lightning speed, penetrated Yu Cheng's chest in an instant. "You didn't keep your word." Yu Cheng couldn't resist at all and shouted unwillingly, "I am the evil infernal god. How can I keep my word?" Whoosh! With the red-haired man's overbearing tearing, the dignified marshal of the Heaven Tribute Camp was torn in half. Blood sprinkled in the sky, which was a ghastly sight. Marshal Yu Cheng of the Heaven Tribute Camp was an extremely powerful existence in this generation. Previously, when he unleashed the true god martial spirit, everyone thought that he had defeated Lin Ling. However, when Lin Ling unleashed the true god martial spirit, Yu Cheng couldn't withstand a single blow. All of this seemed to have happened very slowly, but in fact, it happened in a flash. In the sky, Lei Tianlan's face became even paler. She muttered to herself, "Lin Ling, how did his strength become so strong? Not only does he have the true god martial spirit, but it's obviously not an ordinary thing." Bang! Everything that happened in front of her eyes was completely different from what she had imagined. The huge contrast made her feel a strong sense of regret. She shouldn't have coveted Lin Ling's time and space steal. Because Lin Ling couldn't be offended. While she was feeling complicated, Lin Ling had already arrived in front of her. He appeared like a ghost and grabbed Lei Tianlan with his big hand. Looking at the rapidly approaching flaming palm, Lei Tianlan finally knew the name of the hunt. It turned out that she was the one being hunted. Your Excellency, how dare you? Of course, because of Yu Cheng's obstruction, a large number of experts had already arrived. They wanted to stop Lin Ling and kill Lin Ling. They would never let Lin Ling kill Lei Tianlan. Otherwise, it would be a disgrace to the Thundersound Manor. In fact, many experts were hidden in Black Tortoise Mountain for the meeting of heroes, but they were far away from Lin Ling. Those who were close to Lin Ling thought for a moment and immediately took action. This was because this time, the Thundersound Manor would owe them a favor. Chapter 2653. Who doesn't know you? Lin Ling, give me your life. The Immortal Plum Sword had wanted to kill Lin Ling for a long time, and she pulled out her sword. Bitch, how dare you stop my brothers? However, just as the Immortal Plum Sword was about to stop Lin Ling, a domineering aura shot up to the sky. A white bone giant seemed to have crawled out from the ground, and a rolling white bone fist was thrown at the Immortal Plum Sword. Boom! Before the fist landed, the Black Tortoise Mountain exploded. Rocks the size of houses rolled in the sky, and in the next moment, they turned into dust. That punch was so terrifying. Someone is helping Lin Ling. Looking at the clash between the top experts, many people's eyes were filled with excitement. They realized that the person who attacked was the mysterious Di Shirtian. Most importantly, his strength was extremely terrifying, and he was able to block the Immortal Plum Sword. Boom, boom, boom. Di Shirtian's strength made the Immortal Plum Sword curse in anger. She did not expect Lin Ling's brother to be so strong. Will Lin Ling succeed? The Immortal Plum Sword was blocked, which meant that no one could stop Lin Ling from taking revenge. Therefore, many people were looking forward to it. In fact, many people admired Lin Ling secretly, because Lin Ling was a real man, and he would repay any kindness. Today, in order to take revenge, he hid his identity and approached Lei Tianlan, enduring humiliation. Not everyone had this kind of determination, so they wanted to see Lin Ling succeed in his revenge. Dream on! However, the Thunder Mansion did have a strong foundation, and they brought another expert, and the one who attacked was a level 5 true god. Xian Linglong, don't you want to recruit Lin Ling? This is an opportunity. At this moment, Meng Lu's eyes flickered, and he said quickly, You want me to help Lin Ling? Xian Linglong frowned. Helping Lin Ling was equivalent to falling out with the Thunder Mansion. Was it worth it? This opportunity will not come again. You only have 3 breaths of time to consider. Meng Lu said calmly. Xian Linglong's face became anxious. Should she help or not? In fact, she thought that Lin Ling was a failure and couldn't kill Lei Tianlan at all. Go help him. However, Xian Linglong was indeed an ambitious woman. She made a decision when it was necessary. Because she and Lei Tianlan were rivals, she gambled and hoped that Lin Ling would succeed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Experts from Xian Linglong's side immediately shot out, and they were all at the 5th stage of True God Realm. They blocked all the incoming experts. Rumble! The fierce battle continued to erupt, shaking the entire 4-ring city. It was as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. What a terrifying battle. The fuse was Lin Ling. Looking at the great battle that could kill any first-level true god, countless people's faces turned pale. Of course, they were also staring at Lin Ling. Now that no one could stop Lin Ling, would Lin Ling succeed? Boom. Lin Ling naturally sensed that someone was helping him. The opportunity was fleeting, and he wouldn't waste it. Raging flames appeared in his palm, and he slapped it towards Lei Tianlan. However, Lei Tianlan had already used the Thunder Token, so she barely blocked Lin Ling's attack. It's useless. You can't break the Thunder Token. Lin Ling, you'd better run away immediately. When the people from the Thunder Mansion come, you won't be able to escape. Lei Tianlan said malevolently. Lin Ling had become a huge threat. Boom, boom, boom. However, after her voice, the surrounding purple lightning dimmed by quite a bit. What? She immediately let out a cry of horror. Lin Ling was about to break her thunderclap command through Quang Ba's attack. Could it be that Lin Ling's strength had already reached the 4th stage of True God Realm? Bang! With Lin Ling's crazy attacks, the Thunder Token was completely shattered. Seeing this, the ground was in an uproar, Impossible. Lei Tianlan once again let out a cry of horror. Fortunately, she still had a thunder token, which she had originally given to Lin Ling as a reward, who knew that she would use it to save her life. The new thunder token once again formed a raging thunderbolt to protect Lei Tianlan. Of course, it seemed that it was only a matter of time before this thunder token was shattered. Lin Ling, I admit that I underestimated you. But let me tell you, you can't kill me. My grandmother is here. Roar. Lei Tianlan couldn't help but roar. At this moment, she wanted Lin Ling to die. She couldn't wait to kill Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling was still attacking fiercely, attacking the thunder token at the speed of 5 realms. He and Lei Tianlan were obviously racing against time. What a shrewd junior. But don't be so arrogant. Bang! But at this moment, another terrifying expert arrived. It was the mansion master of the Holy King's mansion. Obviously, after the death of the 2 holy guardians, he immediately rushed over. Therefore, when he saw Lin Ling, he immediately let out a terrifying killing intent. The imposing manner of the Holy King had descended on the 4th Ring City. This was an expert who had surpassed the true God realm. Lin Ling is dead. Bang! Seeing this, many people shook their heads regretfully. Lin Ling was so close. Lin Ling is not running away. Is he going to kill Lei Tianlan even if he dies? This was indeed an unchanging principle. Bang! However, many people exclaimed because Lin Ling simply turned a blind eye to it. His target was only Lei Tianlan. His boldness undoubtedly made more people admire Lin Ling. Holy King, Lord of the 3 realms, my Bright Academy's business has nothing to do with you. Go! Just when the expert of the Holy King's mansion was about to kill Lin Ling, a roar was heard. The sky was forcibly separated, and the universe was chaotic. Tens of thousands of stars shone brightly, and 3 of them were the most dazzling, as if they had come from another martial god realm. An arrow light shot out at a speed faster than the speed of 10 worlds. Not good. The Lord of the 3 realms of the Holy King's mansion master exclaimed in horror. Boom! The giant arrow fell, and all the buildings in the 4th Ring City collapsed. Even the 3rd Ring City was affected. At the same time, an old man appeared in the sky like a god. He held a dazzling ancient bow in his hand. The bow was 2 meters long, and it was extremely brilliant. Most importantly, the arrow on the bow was extremely dazzling, as if it was transformed from a meteor. Vice Principal Gong. Looking at the indomitable expert, countless people exclaimed in surprise. The newcomer was Mount Tai and Beidou of the Bright Academy. No one had expected that Mount Tai and Beidou would fight for Lin Ling. Let's see who dares to stop Lin Ling today. After Vice Principal Gong's appearance, many more Mount Tai and Beidou appeared. They were Luo Riyao, Lord 8, and Red Jade Tiger from the Martial God Camp. All of these experts had actually gathered in 4 Ring City. The Great Azure Divine Dynasty is surging. Today, Lin Ling actually caused such a huge commotion in the 4th Ring City. At this moment, everyone was moved. Aren't you guys too overbearing? Are you trying to kill Lei Tianlan in front of everyone? However, after Vice Principal Gong and the other experts appeared, a large number of experts also arrived from the other side. Marquis Sovereign Heaven. Lord 8's face instantly turned ugly. I didn't expect that Grand Duke Lin would also come. Viscount Fish Dragon. The violent commotion in the 4th Ring City had undoubtedly attracted a large number of ancient experts. The latecomers were obviously here to kill Lin Ling, making the situation difficult to decide. Chapter 2654. The 4 Ring City was in turmoil. Do you think the laws of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty don't exist? I'd like to see if you're going to be so lawless. The Marquis of Sovereign Justice shouted coldly and ordered the experts behind him to attack immediately. Lin Ling, go to hell. The Emperor of Tating Commandery, the only commandery among the 4 commanderies, had also arrived. He wanted to take this opportunity to kill Lin Ling. How dare you? Vice Principal Gong and the others naturally wouldn't stand by and watch. Lin Ling does whatever he wants and treats the Great Azure Divine Dynasty as if it doesn't exist. Such a rebel deserves to be killed. However, the Marquis of Sovereign Justice was extremely smart. He insisted that Lin Ling had violated the Great Azure Divine Dynasty's rules, so the experts behind him were also unscrupulous. Fight, fight, fight! The situation was like an arrow on a bow, and they had to be released. Vice Principal Gong and the others also rushed over. At the same time, they thought to themselves, Lin Ling, time is running out. We have to get rid of Lei Tianlan as soon as possible. They knew very well that they wouldn't be able to stop it in the long run. Moreover, the Marquis of Sovereign Justice had already charged Lin Ling with a crime of looking down on the great Azure Divine Dynasty and being lawless. Eventually, more experts would be attracted. At that time, Lin Ling would definitely be killed. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, bang. Under the collision of the two terrifying forces, the Four-Ring City continued to shake. Even the Four-Ring City noticed the shocking battle here. And the fuse was Lin Ling, who was now the focus of everyone's attention. Could he successfully kill Lei Tianlan? This was the thought that rose in everyone's mind. Haha, Lin Ling, I told you you can't kill me. At this moment, Lei Tianlan was no longer panicking. She hid in the Thunder token and laughed arrogantly. You must have had a good time recently. Your market was almost destroyed by me. Your wife, your friends, they all suffered 100 times the humiliation. All of this is because of you. And let me tell you, after tomorrow, I will increase the pressure by 100-fold and make you and your friends regret coming to Qing province. Lei Tianlan's crazy voice continued to spread, making people tremble with fear. This woman looked weak, but she was very vicious. No wonder Lin Ling wanted to kill her. Boom. Boom. Lin Ling was also continuously attacking, but it was clearly a little difficult to break the thunderclap command. Time passed bit by bit, leaving Lin Ling less and less time. Lin Ling, save it for next time. In the end, a solemn voice came from the sky. It was Vice Dean Gong's voice. Lin Ling could not break Lei Tianlan's defense in a short time, so it was useless to continue fighting. However, Lin Ling still did not retreat. Lin Ling, more experts are coming. We can't hold them off for much longer. Lord Eighth also admired Lin Ling's courage and determination. But if he did not leave now, Lin Ling would probably never be able to leave. Never change. Finally, Lin Ling made a determined voice. Just like his name, he would not stop chasing. His principle would never change. Today, he had to kill Lei Tianlan. Even if he went to hell, he would not regret his choice today. This guy! They stared at the red-haired man in the sky. At this moment, everyone was full of admiration. This was what a martial artist should be like. Rumble. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Finally, an even more terrifying expert had arrived. The ground shook as if there was an earth dragon swimming in it. Moreover, the entire Four-Ring City was surging. Countless experts immediately fell to the ground, and their faces were extremely pale. What kind of divine being was this? Crackle! Countless thunderbolts rushed out of the ground like fire snakes. The ground of the Four-Ring City exploded, and the whole city was turned into demons. They're here, they're finally here. In the sky, Vice Dean Gong's face was extremely solemn. He knew who was coming. Rumble. Almost at the same time, a huge bamboo tree grew out of the ground. The bamboo was so big that it was even more majestic than any mountain. As the bamboo grew, it was accompanied by thunderbolts. This was the thunder bamboo, a divine object born in the chaos of the universe. This was also the symbol of the Thunder Sound Manor Master, the Thunder Sound Mother. Her strength was known to everyone in the great Azure Divine Dynasty. This was also the reason why no one dared to provoke the Thunder Sound Manor. Oh no, what should we do now? Lord Eighth's face was also very serious. With the arrival of the Thunder Sound Mother, Lin Ling would definitely die. Haha, my grandmother is here. Lin Ling, let's see how arrogant you can be. Lei Tianlan sensed the change in the ground and immediately let out a sharp voice. At this moment, she seemed to have lost her mind. There was only madness and bloodlust. It was hard to imagine that she was actually a delicate woman. She was simply a female demon. Rumble. At the same time, countless bamboos shot toward Lin Ling, accompanied by the terrifying purple thunderbolts. Wherever they passed, a large number of martial artists died. Even their bones were electrocuted into powder. Lin Ling, the moment of life and death had arrived. Even Vice Principal Gong and the others could not save Lin Ling in time. Even if they could, they might not be a match for the Thunder Sound Mother. Die, beasts! The old woman's sinister voice rang at the same time. She wanted to kill Lin Ling. Second brother. Sakura was still fighting with the immortal plum sword, but he let out an anxious and worried voice. However, what was terrifying was that Lin Ling turned a blind eye to the thunder bamboo that filled the sky. He was still resolutely attacking Lei Tianlan, as if telling everyone that he would never stop unless he died. Everyone watched helplessly as Lin Ling was drowned by countless bolts of lightning and gradually disappeared. In the end, they could only vaguely see a lonely figure still fighting among the ferocious purple bolts of lightning. He still did not fall. Lin Ling's principle would not change for the rest of his life. 9 lanterns. However, just as the huge power of the thunder bamboo was about to drown Lin Ling, the sky changed and the universe opened. A mysterious fish suddenly swam over from the universe. The fish was huge, ancient, and surging. There were 9 mysterious lanterns on top of its head. Those lanterns were blooming with divine light, illuminating the earth. The purple thunderbolts that entangled Lin Ling were all frozen in place. Then, like ice meeting sunlight, they gradually melted. The 9 lanterns fish was so terrifying. Who are you? On the earth, the Thunder Sound Mother let out a shocked voice. The person who could easily destroy her attack was very strong. Who else is coming? What a powerful strength. People also exclaimed. After the appearance of the 9 lanterns fish, the entire 4-ring city was razed to the ground in an instant. No one knew how many people had died. Lin Ling, I'm not here at the moment, so I can only help you temporarily. You must seize the time. In the sky, a majestic voice floated out, shocking the crowd and making their eardrums hurt. However, they were even more shocked because the person who attacked was not in Qingzhou, but could block the attack of the Thunder Sound Mother. What if that person was in Qingzhou? This was obviously a godlike existence. Lin Ling's appeal is so terrifying. He actually knows such a powerful person. Not only people, but even Vice President Gong and the others were shocked. It's him. Chapter 2655. I want to be extraordinary, because the other party was also a member of the 9 states' 10 evils. He seemed to be Lu Chun, the legendary 9 lanterns of the Founders' Alliance. With the other party's help, Lin Ling was like a fish in water. At this moment, his momentum was rising rapidly, and he continued to suppress Lei Tianlan. Lei Tianlan did not expect Lin Ling to be so influential. She underestimated Lin Ling again. It's useless. That person is obviously not in Qingzhou. He will disappear sooner or later. You, Lin Ling, will also die. However, thinking that Lin Ling would not be able to break her thunder token in a short time, Lei Tianlan shouted crazily. That's not necessarily true. However, Lin Ling also said coldly. The evil charm on his face gradually disappeared, and he became ruthless and decisive. For some reason, his eyes made Lei Tianlan tremble with fear. Could it be that Lin Ling could really break through her thunder token? Don't you want the space-time steel? Now, I'll show you the space-time steel. Sigh, Lin Ling murmured to himself. Then, an ancient tablet fell from the sky and crushed Lei Tianlan's thunderclap token. Lei Tianlan's thunderclap token was shattered. Puff! Lei Tianlan spat out a mouthful of blood, and her face instantly turned pale. It's broken, Lin Ling is going to succeed. Sigh. Seeing this, countless people clenched their fists. They were even more nervous than Lin Ling. I admit that you're very powerful, but don't be too proud. Let me tell you, I don't only have the thunder token. Sigh. However, Lei Tianlan roared again. A jade pendant floated out of her neck, emitting a divine light, and shot up into the sky. Under the light, a large number of thunder bamboos grew. There were 12 of them, firmly guarding Lei Tianlan. Alas, Lei Tianlan still has some tricks up her sleeve. Looking at the mysterious thunder bamboos, many people were stunned and surprised. That's the Thunder Sound Illusory Gold Formation. The Thunder Sound Matriarch has really put in a lot of effort. Some of the more knowledgeable ancient powerhouses sighed. The Lane Manor was much more powerful than they had imagined. After all, the Lane Manor was a spiritual barrier that was even more powerful than the Lane token. This meant that Lin Ling had completely failed. After all, he didn't have much time left. Lin Ling, is it? Let me tell you, you are beyond redemption. If you have the ability, try to kill my granddaughter. She is just standing there for you to kill. Go ahead and kill her. On the ground, the Thunder Mother let out a cold laugh. She knew that Lin Ling was unable to break through the Thunderclap Illusory Gold Formation. After all, one would need a cultivation at the 6th level of the True God realm to break through the formation. Moreover, even if one possessed such a cultivation, one would still be unable to break through the formation in a short period of time. And that period of time was enough for the 9 lantern fish in the sky to disappear. Without the 9 lantern fish, Lin Ling was just a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Regret, fear, and tremble. Lin Ling, don't think that you are so arrogant just because you have some ability. I, Lei Tianlan, am someone you will always have to look up to. Now, even if you beg me to recruit you, I won't be moved anymore. There are many choices in life. One wrong step, and you will lose everything. With the help of the thunderclap illusory gold formation, Lei Tianlan's long hair danced wildly as she shouted angrily like a goddess. At this moment, she was sacred and invincible. She was high above Lin Ling and suppressed him. What else do you have to say? The loud voice shocked the great Qing divine dynasty. What else was there to say? Everyone shook their heads at that sentence. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. Lin Ling was obviously the loser. He had nothing to say. But even so, everyone admired him. If it weren't for Lei Tianlan's background, Lin Ling would have succeeded long ago. Lin Ling, retreat. Even Vice Principal Gong and the others said regretfully. They knew that the situation was hopeless. Lin Ling, the power I left behind is gradually disappearing. Leave here. The 9-lantern fish in the sky became dimmer and dimmer. He was also persuading Lin Ling to leave. In the past, Lin Ling helped Lu Qin find the white fox. Lu Qin owed Lin Ling a favor, so he had been paying attention to Lin Ling. Unfortunately, Lin Ling disappeared in the huge whirlpool last time, so he couldn't help much. This time, he rushed over immediately after knowing that Lin Ling had returned to Qingzhou. Second brother, go back. Sakura couldn't help but shout. He felt sad for Lin Ling. Lin Ling had sacrificed so much, but unfortunately he still failed. In fact, he knew that Lin Ling couldn't even leave, let alone kill Lei Tianlan. Countless eyes were looking at Lin Ling. Some were sympathetic, some were sneering, and some were gloating. However, Lin Ling's long red hair was dancing wildly in the sky. His cold eyes didn't change at all. This is a battle with my back to the river. I bet my life and everyone's expectations. How can I lose so easily? A firm voice came out of Lin Ling's mouth, making everyone's pupils tremble. Lin Ling, he didn't give up. Was he really going to fight to the death? Big brother, Vice Principal Gong, 8th Lord Senior Lu, you know that something happened to me, Lin Ling, and immediately came to help without asking for the reason. If I leave now, how can I face you? If I leave this time, my heart of martial arts will completely crumble. I will doubt myself, I will lose my confidence, and my principles will crumble. So, I can't retreat. Martial artists are supposed to go against the heavens. If I don't go against the heavens, then I'm just an ordinary person. I, Lin Ling, can't be an ordinary person. I want to be extraordinary. Lin Ling's voice continued to float out, making the earth silent. Lin Ling was more determined than expected. Good, very good, but what's the use? The martial god world and the myriad worlds are divided into the lowly and the weak. No matter how powerful you are, as long as you come from the myriad worlds, you're an ant, trash, and an inferior person. Hearing this, Lei Tianlan made a sarcastic sound and laughed sinisterly. You call me an ant, trash. I think you're the real trash. Lin Ling looked at Lei Tianlan, and the disgust in his eyes became even stronger. Haha, you can't break my spirit formation. It's clear who's the trash. You can show off your power with your mouth. I, Lei Tianlan, am waiting for you to kill me. Lei Tianlan laughed wildly, but her laughter suddenly froze. She didn't even finish her words. Instead, her face was filled with fear. Because in front of her, Lin Ling had raised his right hand at some unknown time. In his palm, a terrifying power spread out. Flames spread out like a cloud wheel, and when it contracted, a fist-sized fireball appeared. Moreover, as the cloud wheel continued to add to the fireball, it gradually became bigger and bigger. Gradually, Lin Ling's right hand was holding a huge blazing sun. Compared to the blazing sun, he was as small as an ant. Lei Tianlan was stunned, and panic appeared in her eyes. The majesty that the fireball gave her was endless. What is this? What a terrifying flame power. The people on the ground were also pale. They never thought that Lin Ling had hidden such a trick. Not good. Chapter 2656. Blood splatters all over Qingzhou. This guy has such a trick up his sleeve. Vice Principal Gong and the others couldn't help but be overjoyed. They blocked the attacks of the Sovereign Marquis and the others even more crazily. Even the owner of the 9-lantern fish couldn't help but smile. It seemed that Lin Ling didn't let them down. This battle had already turned the Fourth Ring city upside down. If Lin Ling returned in defeat, it would be a huge humiliation to everyone because this was also a clash between two great powers. Luckily, Lin Ling didn't disappoint them. Lin Ling, you're shameless. How dare you bully a weak girl like me? If you're really a man, we'll fight another 300 rounds in 2 days. Now stop! The fireball in front of her covered the sky, making Lei Tianlan more and more panicked. Fear, regret, shock. All of these emotions were tangled on her face. She thought that the Thunder Illusionary Gold Formation could make Lin Ling helpless. As long as the time passed, Lin Ling would definitely lose. However, when the fireball appeared, she immediately smelled the scent of death. After all, her Thunder Illusionary Gold Formation could barely block the time and space Divine Steel. But with the fireball's attack, the Thunder Illusionary Gold Formation would definitely break. I'm shameless? I overcame all difficulties and became the king of the arena just to kill a vicious girl like you. Do you think this process is easy? You made the Fourth Ring City's experts come out together. You made the Thunder Hall move for you. You relied on external forces, but I relied on my own courage. It's clear who's shameless and who's despicable. Plus, you're not a weak girl. Also, you said that I'm a lowly person from 10,000 worlds and you're a noble from the martial god world. But now, a noble like you is going to die at the hands of Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling stood in the air, his robe fluttering wildly. He raised one hand and sneered. If I, Lin Ling, want to kill you, even a god can't stop me. Flame wheel. The forbidden fire completely exploded. The rolling fireball was like the light from the destruction of the flame world. At this moment, it appeared in the Fourth Ring City. After colliding with the 12 thunder bamboos, the dazzling light illuminated Qingzhou. The 12 thunderclap bamboos were instantly torn apart. Lei Tianlan's eyes widened, and everything in the past flashed through her mind. At that time, she learned that Lin Ling possessed the space-time divine steel. She was greedy and wanted to kill Lin Ling. She thought that it was Lin Ling's fortune that she, Lei Tianlan, was interested in Lin Ling's time and space divine steel. Therefore, Lei Tianlan had no choice but to hand over the treasure obediently. However, she failed. However, she did not care. She thought that Lin Ling was only SOSO. But who would have thought that Lin Ling would come back and kill her in the hands of countless powerhouses? All of this was like a dream. Her heart was filled with regret. If he had tried to persuade Lin Ling back then, or if he had tried to establish a good relationship with Lin Ling, then none of this would have happened. Boom! With a deafening roar, the flames exploded. In the flames, Lei Tianlan spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground like a kite with a broken string. Lan Thunderclap Manor mother roared. Her granddaughter was injured right in front of her. This was a great humiliation to the Thunderclap Manor. People also looked at the sky. There was only one sentence in their minds. Lin Ling had succeeded. Lei Tianlan, didn't you want the space-time divine steel? Now I'll fulfill your wish. At this moment, Lin Ling roared in the sky. He controlled the space-time divine steel and smashed it toward Lei Tianlan. Her eyes widened in shock. She came for the space-time divine steel, but she died for it. I won't accept this. Lei Tianlan's voice could be heard in the Four-Ring City. Boom. Unfortunately, it was useless. The space-time divine steel smashed her into pieces. When she dared to provoke Lin Ling, she already had one foot in hell. Lei Tianlan is dead. Sensing the tremors on the ground, people sighed. Today's matter was full of twists and turns, but Lin Ling finally succeeded in turning the tide and killing Lei Tianlan. However, no one thought that Lin Ling was lucky. Everything he did was obvious to all. Is that the space-time divine steel? It's so scary. Xian Linglong also stared at the sky. Of course, she was more shocked by Lin Ling's madness because even she couldn't kill Lei Tianlan, but Lin Ling succeeded. This counterattack was a miracle. Smack! At the same time, a figure landed on the space-time divine steel. His long red hair danced wildly, and his body was covered in scales. It was Lin Ling. At this moment, he was the center of attention. At this moment, his name was known in Qingzhou. At this moment, he let people know what a real martial artist was. How dare you kill me? Qingzhou will be stained with blood. After a brief moment of silence, the Thunder Sound mother roared, You killed my granddaughter. She still didn't seem to accept the reality. Because a junior like Lin Ling was not qualified to be arrogant in front of her. However, Lin Ling was so arrogant that he even killed Lei Tianlan in front of her. Lin Ling, I can only help you to this point. The rest depends on your luck. Goodbye. At the same time, the 9-lantern fish in the sky began to dissipate, which made many people come to their senses. Because without the 9-lantern fish, Lin Ling was in danger. Vice President Gong and the others also knew that the trouble was not over, and that the real disaster was coming. Although Lei Tianlan was dead, Lin Ling couldn't escape. Was this a mutual destruction? Everyone thought so and looked at the man on the steel. Thunderclap Mother, I, Lin Ling, will avenge you for killing me in the past. However, even though the man on the steel was very weak, the flames in his eyes were still burning. Lin Ling was not afraid. He didn't even intend to let go of Thunderclap Mother. And you, I, Lin Ling, don't have a big grudge against you, but today you set me up, so I must kill you. Lin Ling's firm voice floated out again. Marquis Sovereign Heaven, the people of the 4 commanderies had tried to harm him repeatedly. Since that was the case, he would not stop until he was dead. Great waves rose in everyone's hearts when they heard those arrogant words. Was Lin Ling going to return an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye? Not long ago, they would have thought that Lin Ling was talking nonsense. But now Lei Tianlan was the best example. Lin Ling was a man of his words. Haha, good. I like fearless juniors like you the most. But do you think you can live through today? At this moment, the Thunderclap Mother also let out a roar, and countless thunderclap bamboos rushed out from the ground, sealing off the sky on Lin Ling's side. I'm so scared, but come and kill me. You're still so stubborn in the face of death. We'll watch you be obliterated with our own eyes. After being stunned for a while, the Marquis Sovereign Heaven's experts sneered. Lin Ling still wanted to kill them? Dream on. Lin Ling is really arrogant. What a pity. Seeing Thunderclap Mother's crazy outstanding performance, people shook their heads regretfully. After today's events, they also completely admired Lin Ling. However, this was also a hero's lament. Go to hell. Lin Ling obviously couldn't block Thunderclap Mother's attack. Chapter 2657. The Imperial Edict had arrived. The Azure Emperor's Imperial Edict has arrived. However, at this moment, a majestic imperial aura surged forth. A mysterious person had appeared in the sky at an unknown time. He held a resplendent imperial edict in his hand, as if he was the ruler of the world. As soon as the imperial edict came out, a huge pressure suppressed the entire 4-ring city and silenced it. No matter what kind of expert they were, their hearts were trembling at this moment. Emperor Qing. According to legend, he was one of the first 9 people to be born in the chaos of the universe. Like the other god emperors of the 9 states, he had an endless lifespan and was the first emperor of the myriad worlds. All the emperors of the myriad worlds were his subjects. His divine might, his holiness, there was no one in the world who didn't kneel before him. Plop! Instantly, everyone in the 4th ring city knelt down. An imperial edict? However, many experts were also surprised. They did not expect that the incident in the 4th ring city would alarm the great Azure Divine Dynasty. Of course, they could guess what would happen next. Because Lin Ling had made such a big fuss and attracted so many cultivators, the great Azure Divine Dynasty would definitely want to kill him. Otherwise, what dignity would the Divine Dynasty have? Therefore, the Imperial Edict was definitely to kill Lin Ling. Thunder Sound Mother's face was full of cold laughter. Now, even God could not save Lin Ling. The faces of Vice Principal Gong and the others were incomparably pale. With the arrival of the Imperial Edict, Lin Ling was beyond redemption. Countless gazes immediately raised their heads and looked at the mysterious person expectantly. The mysterious person looked at the ground indifferently and finally spat out a sentence. Lin Ling of the Resplendent Academy is innocent. When this sentence floated out, the entire 4-ring city exploded. Right now, Sihuan City was completely destroyed because of Lin Ling. But Lin Ling was innocent? Even Lin Ling's eyes flickered, unable to guess the meaning of this imperial edict. My lord, Lin Ling has offended his superiors and slandered the rules of the Divine Dynasty. How can he be innocent? Are you seeing things? The one who found it the hardest to accept was undoubtedly the Thunder Sound Mother. She raised her head and roared. How dare you? In the sky, the mysterious man in the divine robe shouted coldly, and the imperial decree in his hand pressed down. Puff! The terrifying imperial aura enveloped Thunderclap Mother, causing her to spit out a mouthful of blood. Her face was extremely pale. The imperial edict was the dignity of the great Azure Divine Dynasty, the light of 10,000 emperors. Thundersound Mother actually dared to question the imperial edict. She was simply courting death. If it wasn't for the fact that she was old and had meritorious service, she would have been crushed into pieces. "My lord, please repeat the imperial edict again." Old Mother Lane didn't dare to act rashly and said respectfully. She was afraid that the mysterious man had seen wrongly, so she wanted to hear him admit it himself. "That's impossible. Lin Ling is just a junior without any background, and Mother Lane is a favorite of the God Empress. How could the great Azure Deity dynasty help Lin Ling? There must be something wrong." The Marquis of Sovereign Heaven also did not believe the result in front of him. In fact, the others were the same. They were all staring at the sky. The mysterious man was still expressionless. At this moment, he held the imperial edict with both hands and said again, "By the order of the Azure Emperor, Lin Ling is not guilty. Moreover, Lin Ling is not afraid of power. For the sake of martial arts, he defeated the strong as the weak. Therefore, the great Azure Divine Dynasty has decided to reward him with the position of Grand Marshal, unifying the 6 military camps, and his military rank is only below the Grand Secretary." Not only was he not killed, but he was also rewarded. At this moment, the entire Fourth Ring City was silent. Thundersound Mother's gaze was trembling. She spat out a mouthful of blood as if she had been slapped 3,000 times. Her granddaughter was killed by Lin Ling, and Lin Ling caused a huge commotion in the Fourth Ring City. In the end, not only was he not guilty, but he was also rewarded. So her granddaughter died in vain? She was unwilling. He was extremely unwilling to accept this. How could this be? The Marquis of Sovereign Heaven also kept shaking his head. He felt that all of this was a dream. They even thought that this was fake. The Emperor of Tating Commandery even slapped himself hard to see if this was a dream. Slap. Unfortunately, it hurt. This was not a dream. Could it be that Lin Ling knows someone in the great Azure Divine Dynasty? Some of the ancient strong people secretly guessed. "Meng Lu, what is the background of this Lin Ling?" Xian Linglong was also surprised and couldn't help but ask. However, Meng Lu frowned and shook his head. He didn't know either. Among all the people, only one person revealed a sneer on the corner of his mouth, and it was Sakura. He knew that the grandmother had made her move. Only that grandmother of his had such power. "Did you hear it clearly?" At this moment, the mysterious man asked indifferently. However, the whole place was silent. "Thundersound Mother, did you receive the imperial edict?" The mysterious man's voice became deeper and deeper as he stared at Thundersound Mother. He knew that Thundersound Mother wanted to kill Lin Ling, but he also reminded her not to disobey the imperial edict. "Aye." Thundersound Mother raised her head. Her face was full of unwillingness. She obviously didn't want to agree. Because if she did, not only would she be too ashamed to face others, but it would also be a great humiliation to the Thundersound Manor. "Did you receive it?" However, the mysterious man was domineering. "Yes, old servant." Sensing the majestic gaze of the mysterious man, Thundersound Mother had no choice but to lower her head. "Lin Ling is not guilty. He's completely fine." Seeing Thundersound Mother lowering her head in humiliation, the crowd was in an uproar. This result was obviously beyond everyone's imagination. "Haha, good. Vice Principal Gong and the rest finally relaxed. They immediately looked at Lin Ling and realized that Lin Ling had already fallen into a coma. However, he was still standing proudly on the ground. "What a tough guy." Lord Eighth sighed. He didn't expect that the younger generation, who was slightly valued in the past, would attract the attention of the great Qing Divine Dynasty. This was really the case of the new generation surpassing the old. "Second brother." Under countless gazes, Sakura took the lead and flew towards Lin Ling. Then he carried Lin Ling and left. Although there was an imperial edict, there were many men of sacrifice in Qingzhou. As long as they received their master's order, they would dare to disobey the imperial edict. Therefore, for safety's sake, it was better to leave. Looking at Sakura leaving with Lin Ling on his back, for Ring City was silent. "Lin Ling." Thundersound Mother's eyes were as red as blood, and her body was trembling nonstop. She had to kill Lin Ling. Today, Lin Ling had escaped. She didn't believe that Lin Ling could hide forever. The same thought appeared in the minds of the Marquis of Sovereign Justice and the rest. Lin Ling had obviously become a big problem. After Lin Ling completely disappeared, the people sighed in their hearts. They felt that they hadn't had enough. Today was really too exciting. Lin Ling had brought them too many surprises. "Meng Lu, your vision is really good. Today is simply Lin Ling's stage. Xian Linglong said meaningfully. Previously, she had also helped Lin Ling. Looking at it now, it seemed to be the best choice she had made in her life. It seems that if I want to surpass him, I have to work harder. Meng Lu didn't answer Xian Linglong. Instead, he secretly clenched his fist. Chapter 2658. Brothers Gather. A day later, the battle in Qing Province's Four-Ring City spread throughout the entire Qing Province. Countless people were shocked. Who is this Lin Ling? So crazy. Yes, he's the most monstrous genius in the history of the Resplendent Academy. Not long ago, he was the strongest second generation. Yes, I really envy him. However, I heard that the battle that day was extremely intense. It was soul-stirring and showed off the might of our generation. Yes, in the three academies, the geniuses were all talking about this matter. At the crucial moment, their blood was boiling, because Lin Ling was the true genius that they wanted to catch up to. Unknowingly, a month had passed quietly. Only then did the commotion in Qing Province subside. In the room, Lin Ling sat cross-legged. In the past month, he had been recovering and recuperating. Although the battle that day did not cause him any serious injuries, after using the heart of the flame god, his consciousness was almost devoured. Fortunately, he was determined to kill Lei Tianlan, and his will was firm. That was how he avoided the backlash of the evil flame change. Although the evil flame was strong, the side effects were extremely obvious. I used the flame wheel and the space-time divine steel. That power could kill a 6th-level true god. Lin Ling thought to himself. However, he knew that it could only kill an ordinary 6th-level true god. Moreover, that battle also showed Lin Ling the strength of the great Qing divine dynasty. There were countless experts. Right now, Thunderclap Mother and the others must hate me to the core. I have to become stronger. While recovering, Lin Ling was also slowly increasing his cultivation realm. However, after the battle in the Meeting of Heroes, Lin Ling's foundation was extremely solid. In addition to the treasures that Vice Principal Gong and the others gave him, he naturally broke through after a month. 2nd-level true god. The world river in his dantian was even larger. When it surged, it could drown 10,000 worlds. However, there were no changes in his second dantian. It was still in the 1st-level true god realm. After that, Lin Ling slowed down his cultivation speed. Moreover, he recalled the events at the Four-Ring City, especially the 9 Lanterns fish Lu Chen. He couldn't help but smile. Sure enough, doing good deeds occasionally would bring good luck. By helping White Fox, her husband was returning the favor. After that, Lin Ling left the room. Second brother, you're awake. You've been cultivating for 2 whole months. Noticing that Lin Ling had come out, Sakura immediately laughed. Milord, Master, Boss. The others couldn't help but feel happy. They already knew what happened in the 4th Ring City. At this moment, they worshipped Lin Ling to the extreme. Big brother, you're really amazing. Now the whole street is talking about you. Your unchanging principle has become the motto of many geniuses. Little Flame rubbed his bald head as he looked excitedly at Lin Ling. This caused Lin Ling to laugh involuntarily. He rubbed Little Flame's bald head as he recalled the days when he had fought alongside Little Flame. This caused him to sigh a little. The battle in the past seemed distant, but it was as if it had happened just yesterday. Countless battles and countless moments of life and death made Lin Ling stronger and stronger. Moreover, Lin Ling couldn't help but feel emotional about what happened at the Ensemble of Heroes. That battle could be called a battle of life and death. If the imperial decree ordered him to die, there was absolutely nothing he could do. Without the 9 Lanterns fish senior Lu Chun, it would be even more difficult for him to escape from Lane Mother. All of this seemed to be luck, but it seemed to be predestined. However, Lin Ling didn't regret killing Lei Tianlan. Because if Lei Tianlan knew that Lin Ling had returned alive, she would definitely attack Lin Ling. At that time, Lin Ling would be in a passive position and could only run for his life to resist Lei Tianlan's attack. Therefore, the best choice was to strike first and gain the upper hand. Big brother, was it her who helped me that day? Then Lin Ling looked at Sakura. During this period of recovery, he had been constantly guessing. In the end, there was only one conclusion, and that was Grandma Wendao. Sakura nodded with a smile. Lin Ling couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Grandma Wen's origin was so mysterious, but why was this old lady hiding in the rainforest Holy Land? It seemed that Grandma Wendao had a story that Lin Ling didn't know. Then Lin Ling didn't ask any more questions. Some things would come sooner or later. Knowing more now might not be useful. Little Flame, 3rd level World King Realm. Lin Ling looked at Little Flame and said. His gaze swept around and found that martial god Yungu, Sword Immortal Firmament, and the others had all reached the 2nd level World King Realm. As for Lai Qing, Yonggan, and the others, they were all at the 4th level World King Realm. Moreover, Lin Ling also saw an acquaintance. It was the 9 spirits of heaven who had been cultivating together under the 7 emperors' heaven. 9 spirits of heaven, you also came to the martial god world? Lin Ling was shocked. More and more people from the rainforest Holy Land were coming to the martial god world. Moreover, they were all brothers who had fought side by side with him. Haha, Lin Ling, you've finally seen me. I thought you were ignoring me and was about to silently cry. The 9 spirits of heaven walked out with her halberd on her back. All smiles. You're looking for a beating. Lin Ling scolded Xianyuan Zhouhun and punched him in the chest. Xianyuan Zhouhun was stunned for a moment before he laughed even louder. With Lin Ling's current status and strength, he didn't need to care about her at all. But Lin Ling didn't. He was still the same as before. And this was Lin Ling's principle. No matter how strong he became or how high his status was, he, Lin Ling, was still Lin Ling. Yes, I, Lin Ling, have more and more brothers arriving at the Blue Province. This proves that our rainforest Holy Land isn't weak. In the future, I want even more people to come to the Blue Province. Lin Ling confidently said, a bold idea rising in his mind. His words caused everyone to laugh in excitement. You are the pride of the rainforest Holy Land, and also rare geniuses. Lin Ling knew that wanting to comprehend a world essence seed in the rainforest Holy Land was extremely difficult. It was harder than ascending to the heavens. But the 9 spirits of heaven had succeeded. This was a precedent that had been set. The real genius of the rainforest Holy Land is you, Lin Ling. We followed your footsteps here. Hearing this, the 9 spirits of heaven solemnly shook their heads and said word by word. If it wasn't for Lin Ling leaving behind a large number of cultivation methods and cultivation resources after returning to the rainforest Holy Land, the 9 spirits of heaven wouldn't have been able to comprehend a world essence seed in their lifetime. Lin Ling had paved the path, and they could only follow it. Yes, you will always be our boss. Little Flame also nodded. Lin Ling blocked all the wind and rain so that they could cultivate in peace. Without Lin Ling, they wouldn't be here today. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled and shook his head. He casually asked, have you all entered the Resplendent Academy? Yes, and we are doing well in the Resplendent Academy. Speaking of this, Sword Immortal Song Tian couldn't help but proudly say. Lin Ling's eyes narrowed as he was somewhat puzzled. Then Sword Immortal Song Tian said with admiration, because of Master's name, we can do whatever we want in the Resplendent Academy. Chapter 2659. Return to the Martial God Battalion. Why do I feel like I've left a bad name in the Resplendent Academy? Lin Ling was taken aback. He rubbed his nose and said. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. The impression that Lin Ling gave to Resplendent Academy was indeed a bad name. He had even become an existence that could not be provoked. Lei Tianlan was an example. She dared to provoke Lin Ling and barge into the 4th Ring City. She didn't show any respect to anyone. Sometimes, although the word villain was unpleasant to hear, it was undeniable that it was a huge protective umbrella. All right, so be it. I'm used to it anyway. Lin Ling was still rubbing his nose. He didn't care what others said. Everyone chatted as they walked out of the market square. Soon after, Lin Ling was surprised to discover that his rainforest market square was filled with customers. When the rogue cultivators saw Lin Ling, they all bowed respectfully. It was clear that in 2nd Ring City, Lin Ling was like half the sky. No one dared to provoke him. But shopkeeper Lin, TSK, I've long heard of your great name. Now that I've met you today, you're indeed extraordinary. That's for sure. Shopkeeper Lin is young, but his name has already spread throughout the Azure Province. He's the #1 genius of the Resplendent Academy. Does Shopkeeper Lin have a wife? Although martial artists don't look old because they cultivate, starting a family and establishing a career is still a path that martial artists must take. Shopkeeper Liu, you want to introduce your daughter again, right? Get lost. Your daughter is not good enough for Shopkeeper Lin. As more and more people arrived, the owner of the nearby market also arrived and spoke politely. The owners of these markets also had great backgrounds. Furthermore, they were all shrewd people. Naturally, they knew how to build good relationships. Looking at the lively scene, Lin Ling was stunned. However, Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Gub immediately showed a dark expression. They were obviously jealous. Seeing this, the shopkeepers who wanted to introduce their daughters were all scared out of their wits. After a few chuckles, they fled. They didn't expect that Lin Ling had already married, and his wife was extremely beautiful. Their daughter couldn't compare at all. Haha, second brother. I didn't expect you to be so henpecked. Among everyone, only Sakura dared to tease Lin Ling. This made Lin Ling bitterly smile and said, "Big brother, don't add oil to the fire. Otherwise, I'm afraid they won't let me enter the room tonight." Haha. When they heard Lin Ling's words, the others couldn't help but laugh heartily. This kind of Lin Ling was the most real, just like the big brother next door. Everyone chatted and laughed wittily as they left the rainforest market. After arriving outside, Lin Ling's eyes constantly flickered. Now that he had become the Grand Marshal, it was time for him to return to the Martial God's barracks to take a look. After all, Chiyuhu had been running around for him. When something happened to him, Chiyuhu came without asking for the reason. Lin Ling had no choice but to return this favor. Chiyuhu had long wanted Lin Ling to take over the Martial God's barracks. Since he was free today, he might as well complete this matter. He told everyone his thoughts, then led them out of the Qing province and towards the Martial God's barracks. The Martial God's barracks was far away from here, but everyone's strength wasn't weak. Therefore, after half a day, a huge barracks appeared in front of them. Lin Ling stood on top of a mountain and looked at the army camp that was filled with high morale. He couldn't help but smile. The Martial God's barracks was the first place where Lin Ling grew up in the Qing province. He had left many memories there. Today, he was returning home in glory. At that time, I almost killed you in this area. Queen Qianji's voice drifted out when she sensed Lin Ling's thoughts. The first time she met Lin Ling was when she was a scout in the Martial God's barracks. Fortunately, you didn't kill me. Lin Ling replied with a smile. Otherwise, no one would help you take revenge. Queen Qianji fell silent when she heard this. She was extremely grateful. The revenge Lin Ling mentioned was naturally to kill the Sovereign Marquis. The Sovereign Marquis was Queen Qianji's biggest enemy. However, it was difficult for Queen Qianji to kill him, but Lin Ling could. However, the Sovereign Marquis wasn't simple. If he wasn't careful, Lin Ling's team might be wiped out. Therefore, Queen Qianji didn't want Lin Ling to get involved in this matter. "Stop! Who are you? Stop!" When Lin Ling and the others approached the Martial God's barracks, an angry shout came from the front. It was the soldiers guarding outside the barracks. However, they were obviously new recruits. When they saw Lin Ling and the others, their eyes were filled with fear. That was because they couldn't see through Lin Ling and the others. "How dare you? Do you know who he is?" Falling Flowers Flowing Water shouted angrily and strode forward. The soldiers shuddered and took a step back. However, one of the young men gritted his teeth and didn't back off. "I don't care who you are. This is a military base. Outsiders are not allowed to come close." After he finished speaking, a gun appeared in his hand. It was a gun filled with murderous intent. "If you take another step forward, don't blame me for being merciless," the young man said word by word. Falling Flowers Flowing Water, and the others were furious when they saw this. Is that guy rebelling? They wanted to step forward, but Lin Ling stopped them with a smile. Instead, he strode forward. "Didn't you hear what I said?" The young man's eyes widened. He almost stepped aside. Although the young man looked calm, it was like the calm before the storm. He had no doubt that he would be torn to pieces if the storm came. However, he still didn't back off. He held the gun and pointed it at Lin Ling. Of course, his arm was trembling. However, Lin Ling still walked forward. Martial God Spear. The young man attacked. It was the basic spear technique of the Martial God barracks. This was a first-grade boundary origin martial art. Naturally, this martial art was no threat to Lin Ling. The spear was like a dragon. However, Lin Ling's hand was even faster. Under the young man's unfathomable gaze, he instantly grabbed the spear. This caused the young man's eyes to narrow and his face to turn pale. He knew that this person was powerful, but he didn't expect him to be so powerful that he could grab his most powerful technique with a single hand. "He's dead. He's dead." The other soldiers muttered to themselves. They could imagine the young man's fate. You attacked me with your spear? At this moment, Lin Ling looked indifferently at the young man. His gaze was like a torch, causing the young man to finally lower his head. He knew that he was in trouble. Ironically, no one came to his aid. However, just when the young man thought that he was doomed, Lin Ling smiled and said, "Your spear isn't bad. However, it would be even more perfect if the tip of the spear was a centimeter higher." These words undoubtedly struck the young man as if he'd been struck by lightning, because the expert before him was actually giving him pointers. Moreover, when he thought about it carefully, he couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. No wonder he'd always felt that his ultimate spear technique seemed to lack some charm. It turned out that it was a centimeter higher. A centimeter didn't seem like a big change, but in reality, when cultivators fought, it was often this centimeter difference that determined victory and defeat. "How dare you, Yi Xiu? Do you know who he is?" Right at this moment, a furious voice suddenly sounded. Then, the sound of orderly footsteps could be heard from the martial god barracks. Chapter 2660. The Three Great Generals. Commander Huang Qi. The soldiers immediately cried out in alarm, because the person who appeared was actually the great commander. However, the commander didn't pay attention to them. Instead, he looked at Lin Ling and said, "Lin Ling, you are back." The person who came was Commander Huang Qi, Lin Ling's former superior. Commander Ling Hu and the others were all here. Apparently, they knew who Lin Ling was. However, the soldiers of the Martial God Battalion didn't know, because it was an order from the Great Qing dynasty. Ordinary soldiers didn't have the right to know. "Sir, who is Lin Ling?" Someone cried out in surprise and knelt down on one knee. "You should know that the Martial God Battalion is going to have a new commander. He is the new commander." Commander Huang Qi blandly said. "What? Him? But he is so young." "Lin Ling. I remember now. He is the soldier who created the miracle of the Martial God Battalion." The expressions of the surrounding soldiers changed drastically. As for the soldiers guarding the gate, their faces were as pale as paper. Some of the more cowardly ones even knelt down. "We are finished. We are finished." They actually dared to stop the commander of the Martial God Battalion. The young man whose spear was held by Lin Ling was shaking. He looked at Lin Ling and couldn't believe it. "Is this the commander?" He was very clear that the others might be spared from death, but they would not be able to escape punishment. Then he would definitely be sentenced to death. The military was strict. Whoever dared to offend the commander would be executed. "You are Yi Xiu?" When the young man's face turned pale, Lin Ling suddenly looked at him and asked. The young man nodded. "You remind me of someone. My disciple, Yi Xiu. However, he is not talented enough. He can't go to the martial god realm." Lin Ling sighed. Li Xiaorao had many disciples, but Lin Ling only had two. One was Yi Xiu, and the other was Wan Er. However, they couldn't follow Lin Ling to the martial god realm. What a pity. Even so, Lin Ling still treated them as his own disciples. "Marshal Lin Ling, if you want to kill them, please do as you please. This matter has nothing to do with them. They didn't stop you." Yi Xiu gritted his teeth and raised his head, pleading for mercy for the soldiers behind him. "You'd rather die for them?" Lin Ling said with great interest. "This is my mistake. I am willing." Yi Xiu knew that he was going to die, so he nodded his head heavily. "You are a recruit now, right?" However, Lin Ling did not say that he would kill Yi Xiu. Yi Xiu was a little confused, but he still nodded his head, replying to Lord Marshal, "I just joined the Martial God camp this year." "All right, from today onwards, you are the Grand Commander." Lin Ling gave him a look of appreciation before he strode into the Martial God's camp. Boom. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's hearts rumbled, as if they couldn't believe their own ears. Yi Xiu went against his superiors and attacked Marshal Lin Ling. But not only did Marshal Lin Ling not kill him, he even made him a great commander. This was incomprehensible. Especially Yi Xiu, he felt as if he was dreaming. The words great commander made him feel as if he had been struck by lightning. However, he still gritted his teeth and asked, "Lord Marshal, why?" As soon as he spoke, everyone looked at Lin Ling. They didn't understand why Lin Ling would do this. "Because, you don't know who I am, but you sense that I was very strong. Even so, you still attacked me to protect the dignity of the martial god camp. That alone is enough." Lin Ling said with a pause between each word with his back to Yi Xiu. As soon as he finished speaking, tears flowed out of Yi Xiu's eyes. The reason he attacked before was because he wanted to protect the dignity of the martial god camp. If an army camp was allowed to be invaded by others, what kind of military prestige would it have? Therefore, he risked his life to walk out. However, Marshal Lin Ling understood his painstaking efforts. "Once you call me Lord, Lord forever." Thinking of this, Yi Xiu knelt on one knee and slammed his fist on the ground with a bang as he spoke in a soul-stirring manner. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled slightly. With his back to Yi Xiu, he waved his hand and walked into the martial god camp. Sakura and the others shook their heads. Lin Ling's way of doing things was still different from the rest. However, this was Lin Ling. After they entered, the surrounding soldiers immediately looked at Yi Xiu enviously. After all, it was the first time in the history of the martial god camp that someone had become a commander after just entering. Therefore, they were very envious. They envied Yi Xiu's fearlessness and how he was valued by Marshal Lin Ling in the end. Of course, they were only envious. They weren't jealous because Yi Xiu had risked his life for this. Yi Xiu, you're quite lucky. If you had encountered an unprincipled marshal, you would already be dead. Cherish your current military position and serve Lord. Commander Huang Qi smiled at Yi Xiu and personally helped him up. Yi Xiu was overwhelmed by the favor and said, "Lord, this is," however, Commander Huang Qi's next sentence made him speechless. "From now on, we're on equal footing, so there's no need to call me Lord." Indeed, Yi Xiu had already become a commander and was on equal footing with Commander Huang Qi. After Lin Ling entered the martial god barracks, all the people in the barracks came out to welcome him and shouted in unison, "Marshal!" All the soldiers, commanders, and commanders looked at Lin Ling with admiration. Especially some of the veterans, they all recognized Lin Ling. However, they never would have thought that after Lin Ling left that day, he would return today and become a marshal. In reality, they didn't know that Lin Ling wasn't just a marshal. He was also the Grand Marshal of the 6 barracks. It was just that this matter happened in the distant Qingzhou, so they didn't know. "Lord Lin Ling, welcome back." At this moment, 3 generals appeared. The one in the lead was Huang Fuidao. During the scout mission in the past, Huang Fuidao had saved Lin Ling from the hands of Queen Qianji. At that time, he was extremely optimistic about Lin Ling. But who knew that what his intuition said would come true? Lin Ling had become the martial god camp's marshal. Thinking back to all of this, it felt like a dream. Li Pomo greets Lord. The other 2 generals also bowed. Their expressions were extremely solemn, and there was only respect in their eyes. Lin Ling looked at them with a smile. In reality, he had only come to the martial god camp to return a favor to Red Jade Tiger. He was very concerned about the position of marshal. Of course, he still had to have the necessary military power. So, Lin Ling smiled and nodded lightly, and said in a dignified manner, "Take me to the martial god camp." "Yes, Lord." The 3 generals nodded, turned around, and strode forward. The eyes of all the soldiers flickered as they looked at Lin Ling's back, especially some of the new soldiers. After they found out about everything Lin Ling had done, there was only admiration on their faces. The martial god camp was the highest authority in the martial god camp. Lin Ling sat at the head of the table, and the 3 generals and commanders sat down one after another. "Where's Marshal Red Jade Tiger?" Lin Ling was the first to speak. Chapter 2661. Summon the 6 barracks. Lord Red Jade Tiger has become a hands-off boss. Sigh. Hearing this, Lin Ling said somewhat helplessly. His words made all the soldiers in the barracks smile bitterly. The position of marshal was something everyone dreamed of. In the end, Marshal Lin Ling seemed to be very unwilling to do it. "All right, everyone, don't be restrained. In front of me, Lin Ling, there's no need for that." Sigh. Looking at the silent barracks, Lin Ling waved his hand and said, he disliked rules and regulations the most. It made people feel extremely uncomfortable. "Sir, is this true?" Sigh. Huang Fuidao blinked and asked, "Do I look like I'm joking?" Sigh. You should have said so earlier. I knew you weren't the kind of person who doesn't recognize people in the blink of an eye. But you're really amazing. You actually became a marshal. Sigh. What marshal? I heard that you've already become a grand marshal and can summon the 6 barracks. Sigh. Sure enough, a soldier who doesn't want to be a general isn't a good soldier. This guy didn't even want to be a general, but he became a grand marshal. Sigh. The 3 great generals chattered endlessly. They were the only ones in the barracks who dared to do so. However, As they spoke, they felt that the surroundings suddenly became quiet. They couldn't help but look at Lin Ling. They found that Lin Ling's face had darkened. Heavens, we actually ridiculed Lord Marshal in public. Sigh. But he said he didn't care. Sigh. The three great generals immediately trembled with fear. Men, drag them away and give them 100 beatings. Sigh. At this time, Lin Ling said majestically. His words made the three old men's beards puff up. Lin Ling, you tricked us. Sigh. You bully this old man. Sigh. The three of them felt extremely wronged. It was clearly Lin Ling who had said that she did not care. That was why they had spoken so boldly. Who would have thought that this little fox, Lin Ling, would settle the score at an opportune moment? Seeing their red eyes, Lin Ling's originally gloomy face finally revealed a smile. Haha, I was just teasing you. Could it be that only you three old men can make fun of me, Lin Ling, but I, Lin Ling, can't make fun of you? As soon as these words came out, the three generals were like deflated balloons. With a put-on sound, they sat down one after another. With a bitter expression, they said, Sir, it's not easy to joke about the military rod. Moreover, everything was going well, so why did you suddenly become so imposing? That would scare us to death. If they were beaten, they would definitely become the laughingstock of the Martial God Battalion tomorrow. Huh. Seeing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh out loud. Sakura, falling flowers, flowing water, and the others were also the same. They were laughing so hard that they fell off their horses. In fact, although falling flowers, flowing water, and the others didn't dare to make fun of Lin Ling, they knew that Lin Ling was extremely amiable. Even if they made fun of him, he wouldn't care. The reason why they didn't dare to make fun of Lin Ling was that they revered him from the bottom of their hearts. All right, all of you get up. You're already so old, yet you're sitting on the ground in fear. If others see this, you'll be embarrassed to death. After Lin Ling smiled, he personally walked down and helped the three old men up. These three old men were all unyielding men. They were not afraid of enemies, nor were they afraid of any calamity. The only thing they were afraid of was military law, because they were soldiers. There's one more thing that I came back for this time, and that is to unify the 6 battalions. Moreover, I have a mission to send out. After Lin Ling helped the three generals up, his eyes were somewhat cold. What mission? Huang Fuidao immediately asked curiously. Confiscation. Lin Ling sneered coldly. Confiscation of the homes of Taiding Commandery and Weiwa Commandery. In the past, in Sihuan City, the two emperors wanted to kill Lin Ling, but they failed in the end. Today, Lin Ling came to collect the debt. Interesting, interesting. The three generals all smiled excitedly. Naturally, they didn't dare to send out such an order, but Lin Ling was the Grand Marshal. He had the right to do so. But how do we confiscate their homes? Although the 4 commanderies are allies, they also have a strong background. Idiot. Are you stupid? Just pin a crime on them. Anyway, Lin Ling, that cunning little fox, will definitely have a way. No, that's not right. It's Lord Lin Ling's divine foresight. What a divine foresight. I, Li Pomo, am the first to admit defeat. The three generals were still talking excitedly. Lin Ling couldn't help but roll his eyes. These old men really didn't know how to talk. However, they were also cunning old foxes. Pass down my order. One day later, the 6 barracks will gather in the prairie. Then, Lin Ling looked outside the barracks, and his calm voice floated out. However, that calm voice carried an unquestionable majesty. The three generals were stunned. In Lin Ling, they seemed to see the young Lord Red Jade Tiger, and he was even more powerful than Red Jade Tiger. This time, we will go to Spring Terrace to gather our old subordinates, and we will kill the King of Hell with 100 banners. That night, Lin Ling stayed in the Martial God Barracks. He didn't stay idle, and he made use of the time to cultivate. Currently, he had reached level 2 of the True God realm. His strength was so strong that ordinary level 4 True Gods were no match for him. If he used the Flame Wheel and Space-Time Divine Steel, he could even kill a level 6 True God. However, although these trump cards were strong, they could only be used once in a short period of time. Moreover, Lin Ling didn't want to rely too much on these trump cards because it wasn't beneficial to his growth. Although I'm very strong now, Green Province is vast, and I haven't reached the peak of the pyramid. Sooner or later, I will walk out of Green Province and catch up to Li Xiaoyao. Lin Ling muttered to himself. In fact, in this life, Lin Ling's cultivation speed was faster than Li Xiaoyao's, and the time he spent was also shorter. Moreover, in this life, Lin Ling's foundation was more solid. Among the triple cultivation of essence, qi, and spirit, his qi and spirit had reached a new level. But his essence didn't have much of a breakthrough. On the other hand, essence was the strength of his physical body. Stepping into a new level, the chaos divine formula could be cultivated to the third level, and the third Dantian would be born. The night passed quietly, and Lin Ling felt that his cultivation had improved. Then he went outside the barracks. Outside, everyone in the martial god barracks was already waiting there. They looked at the new marshal with excitement in their eyes. "Let's go to the prairie." Lin Ling smiled and took the lead. This prairie was the prairie where the scout mission used to be. It was vast, boundless, and ancient. Lin Lin sat on top of a mountain peak, with only 3 generals by his side. The soldiers of the martial god barracks were gathered in the prairie. They were densely packed, and their auras were extremely majestic. There were scout barracks, spear barracks, archery barracks, and so on. If these soldiers appeared in the myriad of worlds, they could easily sweep through thousands of worlds. In the eyes of the warriors in the myriad of worlds, these were divine soldiers. This was the first time the 9 spirits of heaven had come to the martial god barracks. At this moment, they were extremely shocked. Divine soldiers and divine generals. This was the only way they could describe the martial god barracks. Moreover, they felt that many of the soldiers were stronger than them, and they were existences that could dominate. However, these terrifying existences were actually obeying Lin Ling's orders. Just thinking about it made them feel that it was unreal. Marshal. Chapter 2662. He refused to accept it. Ao ao. The other beasts roared as well. There was a 3-headed giant wolf, a mutated vine dragon, an ancient Chilan beast, and even a martial god giant. These divine beasts all knelt down and looked at the man on the mountain peak with reverence. "Master is so mighty." Seeing this, ancient martial god Yungu and the others were filled with excitement. It was as if they were witnessing the arrival of a king. "Get up!" At this moment on the mountain peak, Lin Ling calmly waved his hand. He was not affected by the aura of the vast army. He even sensed that within the army, mysterious auras were suspended in the sky and then drifted around Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes immediately lit up. He knew that this was a type of faith power. This was because the army used Lin Ling as their flag and believed in Lin Ling. They believed in the marshal and worshipped him. Thus, this mysterious power was born. Interesting. Lin Ling couldn't help but smile. He allowed the power of faith to flow into his body. With this, he could use it to temper his body, making it impervious to all evil. At the same time, Lin Ling took out a book to read. This was the historical record of the martial god barracks. It recorded all the major events that had happened in the martial god barracks. Beside it was the martial arts of the martial god barracks. Lin Ling also began to check them. There were all kinds of strange martial arts, many of which Li Xiaoyao had never seen before. Originally, Li Xiaoyao's martial arts foundation was very deep, and now it was even more accumulated. Army formation? Lin Ling also saw a large number of military strategies. Of course, what interested him the most was the military formations. Those military formations were broad and profound, seizing the essence of the universe, able to make the sun and moon lose their light. In reality, they were also a type of spirit formation. Lin Ling's interest was piqued, and he activated the myriad mammoth's demonic eyes. This brat is actually looking at military formations. Of course, as a marshal, he has to act like one. I'm guessing that Lord Red Jade Tiger is also secretly keeping an eye on this brat, so this brat will definitely not embarrass Lord Red Jade Tiger. However, I won't be able to comprehend the art of military formations in a short period of time. On the side, the 3 great generals snickered. Rumble. After an unknown amount of time, the army arrived in the distant sky. What was even more frightening was that in front of the army were a large number of headless generals. They wore armor and were like slaves pulling a war chariot as they majestically led the army over. Furthermore, a flag was also fluttering in the wind. 1,000 Trick Battalion. This was also one of the 6 military camps. The eyes of the martial god battalion members flickered when they saw this. However, Lin Ling acted as if he had not heard anything and continued to read his book slowly. At this time, the scene of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix appeared. In the sky, all kinds of divine birds flew proudly, and behind them were many female soldiers. 10,000 Phoenix Battalion. Next up was the 9 Stars Battalion, Heaven Tribute Battalion. After receiving the order, the 6 military camps all rushed over at this moment. The scene was extremely spectacular. If these 6 armies were to move out, it was likely that even powerhouses that surpassed True God Realm would not be able to withstand their assault too. That surging aura directly caused the hearts of Little Flame and the rest to beat faster. When had they ever seen so many experts? Of course, not only them, even Falling Flowers and Flowing Water Sword's faces were incomparably pale. However, even though so many experts had arrived, the man on the mountain peak still did not move. He would not be moved even if the sky collapsed. Who gave the order? At this time, a roar broke the silence. It was the Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion. Obviously, they did not know who had summoned them, but they sensed that it was a military order from the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. I'm afraid something big is about to happen for the 6 military camps to gather here. I'm curious as to who will be here today. The Marshal of the 10,000 Phoenix Battalion shouted. In fact, they were extremely unhappy. After all, they had only one day to rush here. Moreover, if they were late, they would be punished by the military order. Anyone would be in a bad mood. Rumble. The armies of the 6 military camps landed one after another, causing the prairie to become even more crowded. At a glance, they looked like statues. Various kinds of armor gathered together, giving birth to surging killing intent. However, everyone looked at the mountain peak. Although many people did not know what was going on, it was obvious that the person on the mountain peak was the person in charge today. Could it be that he gave the order? Who is he? The eyes of all the marshals flashed, and the anger in their hearts became stronger. What kind of expert would come here today? In the end, it was just a kid who was still wet behind the ears. One should know that the marshals of the various military camps were mostly very old, and they were also people of virtue and prestige. The young man on the mountain peak was no different from a child to them. Who are you? What punishment do you deserve for falsely reporting a military order? The Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion was the first to shout angrily. This person was actually a 3-meter-tall giant. His skin was blue, and his long golden hair was like a lion's. As soon as he finished speaking, the other marshals sneered. That was what they wanted to ask too. However, the man on the mountain peak was still reading, and he did not ask anything. He was as calm as Mount Tai, and he gave off a scholarly feeling. Answer me. The Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion was furious, and he shouted angrily again. Slap him. Finally, Lin Ling opened his mouth. What shocked everyone was that he was still reading, and he even took a sip of wine from the wine pot. He was so calm and composed that he seemed like a scholarly emperor. This made many people think of a line in a poem. Sitting alone in a pond is like a tiger, resting under the shade of a tree to recuperate. When spring comes, if I don't speak first, which insect dares to make a sound? Domineering. How dare you? The eyes of the Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion narrowed. This kid was really arrogant. Swoosh. Swoosh. However, 3 figures flew down from the mountain peak. They were Huangfu Yidao and the others, and they landed in front of the Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion. Without saying anything, they directly slapped the Marshal's face. At this moment, the whole army was in an uproar. One should know that the Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion was in charge of several 100 million experts, and he was the king of the 9 Stars Battalion. Not to mention slapping his face. Even looking at him was a crime of offending one's superior. But now, such a terrifying expert was slapped in the face, and he was slapped in front of the army. How could the Marshal face others? Huangfu Yidao Li Pomo, you're courting death. As expected, the Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion roared angrily. Slap him again. However, before the 3 marshals could say anything, a calm voice rang out from the mountain peak. It was Lin Ling's voice. Slap! 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 The marshal was stunned. The other marshals and their camps seemed to have been beaten into a daze. There were 2 reasons why the young man was so arrogant. Firstly, he was a madman, and secondly, he had a powerful background. If it was any other time, the soldiers would definitely think that the young man was a madman. But now that the 6 battalions were gathered together, their auras were so powerful that even a madman would be scared silly. Therefore, the marshals believed that the young man wasn't simple. Moreover, the 3 marshals were all arrogant people, but they still listened to the young man's words. This proved everything. Fine, fine, fine. I, Crazy 9 Stars, won't act out for the time being for the sake of the army. However, If you don't give me an explanation, don't blame me for massacring the Martial God Battalion. The Marshal of the 9 Stars Battalion also thought of this, so he temporarily restrained himself. That's right. You asked all the battalions to come here at night, and if you don't give us an explanation, don't blame us for being impolite. Chapter 2663. Questioning the authority of the generals. Explanation? No. However, the 3 great generals immediately replied and spread their hands, telling them that they could beat them up if they wanted to. There was no explanation. Such an imposing manner could be said to be extremely arrogant. Huang Fui Dao you. All the marshals were stunned, and their murderous auras completely erupted. He is the Grand Marshal. However, their anger was instantly quelled by Huang Fui Dao's words, as though they had been splashed with cold water. All the marshals widened their eyes in disbelief. All of you should have received the news that there is a new Grand Marshal in the 6 barracks. He is under the Grand Secretary, but he can command the 6 barracks. Huang Fui Dao took a step forward and spoke again. We have indeed heard of this rumor, but is he the mysterious Grand Marshal? He seems to be very young. I don't believe it. Who is he? Dissatisfied voices rang out from the various military camps. This was because all of this was too sudden for them. As for the marshals and the others, they were also frowning. Huang Fui Dao's gaze swept across the army and finally landed on the faces of the marshals. He then said indifferently, "He is Lin Ling." As soon as he said this, a murderous aura suddenly rose in the prairie. Especially the marshals, their eyes trembled violently. Others might not know who Lin Ling was, but with their seniority, how could they not know? In 4 Ring City, Lin Ling had caused a huge battle and killed the granddaughter of the Thunder Echo Manor's mansion master. This matter had already shaken Qingzhou. He is Lin Ling. The marshals were all mumbling to themselves. The army behind them also had their own thoughts. Some of them had heard of Lin Ling's name, but the soldiers who had never been to Qingzhou were still confused. However, they could tell that their marshals were all very nervous. Now, tell me, do you all deserve to be slapped in the face? Huang Fui Dao took another step forward and said indifferently. All the marshals were silent. If Lin Ling was the Grand Marshal, they were indeed not qualified to speak. Sir gave you a day to come, but you came in the afternoon and made the marshal wait for you for half a day. He has already read 3,700 sets of books. Tell me, do you all deserve to be slapped in the face? Huang Fui Dao said again. All the marshals' expressions quietly changed and revealed a hint of reverence. As soldiers, as long as they were in the barracks, it was their duty to obey military orders. After your arrival, you all deserve to be slapped in the face. Huang Fui Dao's third sentence. Do you all deserve to be slapped in the face? Huang Fui Dao was the 3rd marshal. His aura was as though it represented the 6 barracks. The marshals gritted their teeth. Huang Fui Dao's words had broken their hearts. Great marshals. Finally, the marshals, the Grand Marshal, Edons, to the marshal. All the soldiers behind them knelt down. Their terrifying aura soared into the sky. Lin Ling, I have a brother in the Heavenly Saint Institute. He once told me this name. It is said that he is the most monstrous genius in the history of the Resplendent Institute. I've also heard that his cultivation speed is the fastest. In the drill ground, he even won 1st place in the Pride tournament. I also heard that he killed an expert in the 4th Ring City. TSK. The 4th Ring City is a place that we will never have the chance to go to in our lifetime. The kneeling soldiers secretly transmitted their voices and discussed spiritedly. They never expected that Lin Ling would become the Grand Marshal of the 6 barracks at such a young age. Comparisons were odious. Get up. At this moment, Lin Ling's indifferent voice floated out from his mouth. Hearing this, all the soldiers stood up and looked at the mountain peak. They were shocked again. On the magnificent mountain peak, the man was still holding the book with one hand and reading it slowly. From time to time, he would stuff a mouthful of wine into his mouth. If he sobered up, he would be in charge of the world. This aura, this indifference, no doubt, shook the hearts of the soldiers. They thought that Lin Ling was still wet behind the ears. But looking at it now, Lin Ling did indeed have the aura of a Grand Marshal. I have only one order for you to come here. Search the homes of Tating Commandery and Solitude Commandery. The 6 barracks will move out together. Lin Ling was still reading his book. His voice carried a hint of laziness as he spoke. He had stated his purpose. What? Hearing this, the faces of the marshals changed. Tating Commandery and Solitude Commandery were one of the 4 great commanderies. They were also allies of the Great Green Holy Dynasty. Although they were not as powerful as the Great Green Holy Dynasty, they had been in the good books of the Great Green Holy Dynasty for many years. Furthermore, they had sent a large amount of salary to the Great Green Holy Dynasty every year. Hence, they were not to be underestimated. Now they were going to search their homes. This was no small matter. Do you have the order of the Great Green Holy Dynasty? At this moment, an unwilling voice floated out. The one who spoke was the new marshal of the Sky Tribute Battalion. This marshal was also the youngest among all of them. He looked to be about 40 years old. The previous marshal of the Sky Tribute Battalion was Yu Chung. Unfortunately, he was killed by Lin Ling. This caused the entire Sky Tribute Battalion to be unconvinced by Lin Ling. If he asked them to kneel, they would grit their teeth and accept. However, if Lin Ling wanted to order them around, they would be dreaming. My words are the words of the Great Green Holy Dynasty. Unfortunately, Lin Ling said lightly. There were no imperial edicts or military orders. It was just a verbal order. What if the Great Green Holy Dynasty pursues this matter? The Sky Tribute Battalion cannot bear the consequences. The marshal of the Sky Tribute Battalion sneered. Do I need you to bear the consequences? To put it bluntly, you are not qualified. Even if the sky falls, I, Lin Ling, will hold it up. You just have to do as you are told. Lin Ling said disdainfully. He was still reading his book. That expression and those words were undoubtedly filled with disdain. It was as if he was saying, you are just a small soldier. Just do as you are told. If something big happens, the Great Green Holy Dynasty won't have time for a small soldier like you. You. The marshal of the Sky Tribute Battalion was infuriated. I refuse to accept this. I will definitely not go. After saying that, he hurriedly looked at an elder beside him. Senior Qianji, say something. Among the 6 battalions, Senior Qianji was the oldest. It was said that when the Great Green Holy Dynasty was first formed, he was already a soldier of the Great Green Holy Dynasty. It took him millions of years to become a marshal. However, he was a person of virtue and prestige. Everyone in the 6 battalions gave him face. Even the Grand Secretary gave him face. At this moment, the white-haired but energetic marshal of the Qianji Battalion remained silent. He did not agree to Lin Ling's request, but he did not reject it either. However, all the marshals knew that Senior Qianji's silence was a rejection. However, this was normal. How could a million-year-old monster listen to Lin Ling's orders? At this moment, all the marshals laughed coldly. Everyone refused to listen to Lin Ling. Let's see what face Lin Ling has left. Humph, you are just a true god. How dare you be so arrogant? Senior Qianji is an existence that has surpassed the true god realm. We accept that he is a marshal. Haha, if you are polite, you can call him marshal. If you are rude, you are just a passerby. The marshal of the Sky Tribute Battalion sneered. This time, there was an awkward silence. Chapter 2664. 30% Sword Heart. Heaven Tribute Camp Marshal. You seem to be a swordsman. Let's fight. If you win, your army can leave, and I, Lin Ling, will no longer order you around. How about it? Good. At this moment, Lin Ling finally put away the book in his hand and stood up with the wine jug in his hand. He knew that it was time to establish his military might. He also knew that far away, Lord Red Jade Tiger, Lord 8, and the others were all watching him. Therefore, Lin Ling could not disappoint them. If you fight me, you're the Grand Marshal. The Heaven Tribute Camp Marshal's eyes flickered. Scared? Good. Lin Ling floated down the mountain and looked at the Heaven Tribute Camp Marshal with contempt. I'm a level 2 true god, and you're a level 5 true god. You don't even dare to spar? How can you call yourself a soldier? Good. Me. Good. The Heaven Tribute Camp Marshal could not refute. In fact, he knew that Lin Ling had killed Yu Cheng, and Yu Cheng's strength was unquestionable. Therefore, although his cultivation level was higher, he did not have the confidence to defeat Lin Ling. What a trash. How about this? I see that you're a swordsman. Let's compete in Sword Dao. Lin Ling said again. Just Sword Dao? Good. The Heaven Tribute Camp Marshal's eyes lit up. If they competed in Sword Dao, he was not afraid of Lin Ling. He asked again, good. But Marshal Lin Ling's words should count, right? If I win, our camps will not be under your command? Good. When have I, Lin Ling, not counted? Good. Lin Ling sneered. Of course, what if you lose? Good. Me. Good. The Heaven Tribute Camp Marshal found it hard to answer. This made Lin Ling's eyes full of sarcasm. Indecisive, neither up nor down. How did you become a marshal? How about this, if you lose, you can walk down from your marshal position yourself. Good. Ruthless. Good. The marshal of the Heaven Tribute Battalion cursed inwardly. He had just become a marshal. However, he glanced at Senior Qianji, who remained silent. He immediately knew that with Senior Qianji's support, he only needed to defeat Lin Ling. Lin Ling would not dare to go back on his words. Then let's fight. A green sword appeared in his hand. The sword was simple and unadorned, like a tranquil ancient lake. However, a sense of calmness pervaded the air. Since he was able to become a marshal, his strength was naturally unquestionable. Moreover, after he drew his sword, his aura changed as well. Looking up at the heavens, the clouds move in all directions. With a sword in hand, I ask the world who is the hero. He instantly struck out with his sword, causing the winds and clouds to change. It was as if a sword had pierced through the void. This sword actually contained 30% of the sword heart. His Omega Sword Dao was extremely formidable. After all, his talent was average and could not compare to Yu Cheng. However, he was still able to become a marshal because of his powerful Sword Dao. On the other hand, Lin Ling's Sword Heart was only at the second level 5. Therefore, this was the reason why he had competed in Sword Dao earlier. Haha, if he loses, it will be a bit embarrassing. Not only will he lose his prestige in the 6 barracks, but he will also lose his prestige in the Martial God barracks. The other marshals sneered. At this moment, Lin Ling placed his hands behind his back and looked at the sword with bright eyes. The sword was very fast and had the speed of 4 realms. Unless he used the Qian Kuan change, he would not be able to dodge the sword. Marshal, it will be too late if you don't draw your sword now. The Heaven Tribute Camp's marshal's voice accompanied the sword. However, Lin Ling still did not move. Many soldiers' eyes flickered. Could it be that Marshal Lin Ling was so weak? However, at this moment, Lin Ling's sword moved. He still had his hands behind his back, but the tyrannical Song's sword floated up on its own. The sword pointed at the Heaven Tribute Camp's marshal's sword. Then it split into 2, then into 4, and in an instant there were 81 swords. These swords all shot toward the Heaven Tribute Camp's marshal's sword. Clank! A clear sound rang as a murderous aura filled the air, causing the armor of many soldiers to crack. However, the frightening thing was that Lin Ling's 81 swords actually stopped the Heaven Tribute Camp's marshal's sword. In terms of the power of the sword, Lin Ling's sword is not as powerful as Gu Feng's. However, he has used the Ashura sword formation to its limit. The power of the 81 swords is not wasted at all. This control is very frightening. The Thousand Chance Camp's marshal frowned as he seemed to have noticed something. The falling leaves rustle, the blood of a warrior is hot, the cold wind is like a blade, the sorrowful song cuts through the air. Riding a fast horse across the heavenly mountain, he draws his bow and sweeps the treasury. The Heaven Tribute Camp's marshal sneered and waved his sword as if he was dancing. The sky was filled with sword shadows that could break through 10 worlds. The dense sword shadows enveloped Lin Ling and rushed toward him. Lin Ling's 81 swords could only stop the Heaven Tribute Camp's Marshal Gu Feng's sword. However, Gu Feng had scattered the swords, making it difficult for Lin Ling to stop them. After all, if one of the 81 swords was missing, he would not be able to stop Gu Feng's sword. However, a frightening thing happened. No matter which angle Gu Feng's swords came from, they would be met by the 81 swords. The Shura swords protected Lin Ling completely, as if they were alive. How is this possible? Seeing this, the marshals all cried out in surprise. What terrifying control! In order to be so impenetrable, Marshal Lin Ling would have to focus all of his attention on controlling the swords. They immediately looked at Lin Ling. They immediately realized that Lin Ling was still standing there. Not only was he not focused, he was reading a book like a scholar about to become the top scholar. This caused a stir in the army. How calm and indifferent. How calm and composed. Elder Qian, why is this happening? Even though the marshals were at a higher cultivation level than Lin Ling, they could not understand what was happening. In fact, even Senior Qianji was frowning. He could not understand what was happening either. However, he did not dare to confirm his guess. At this moment, Gu Feng's swords were continuously attacking Lin Ling with 30% of his sword heart. However, it was to no avail. Lin Ling was like an iron bucket that he could not bite. Most importantly, Lin Ling had blocked his attack with ease, which infuriated him greatly. Gradually, his aura also dimmed. Marshal Lin Ling, it seems that you can only defend like a turtle, Gu Feng said mockingly. It's over. Lin Ling raised his head and looked at Gu Feng calmly. I admit that your swords are strange. However, if you only know how to defend, you won't be convincing. Gu Feng replied with a cold smile. I'm sorry. I thought that you were very powerful. In the end, I didn't even use 50% of my strength, and you can't do anything about it. I'm very disappointed. Lin Ling shook his head and said helplessly, Since you said that I only know how to defend, I'll show you what the way of the sword is. Lin Ling closed the book and waved his sleeve. Swoosh. Swoosh. 81 swords were shot at Gu Feng. However, Gu Feng sneered, What's the use? Previously, the 81 swords were only able to block his attacks. Therefore, Lin Ling's swords could not hurt him. However, just as he finished speaking, something strange happened. The 81 swords started to change. Azura Chi spread out and began to split. 82 swords. 83 swords. 90 swords. 99 swords. Gradually, it reached 108 swords. Azura Sword Formation 3rd Stage. Chapter 2665. 100 Flowers. Clang. A deafening sound rang out as the 108 swords shot out crazily. The sword in Gu Feng's hand flew out and stabbed into the ground, swaying continuously. Defeat. He couldn't block a single blow from Lin Ling. This caused the prairie to become silent. After all, Marshal Lin Ling had given up on his strongest technique and used the sword Dao to fight against the Heaven Tribute Camp's marshal. The latter had a sword heart and was at the 5th level of the true god realm. How could he lose? This was too strange. What kind of power did Marshal Lin Ling control? If I become a marshal in the future, I will repay the blooming of the peach blossoms. When autumn comes on the 8th of September, I will kill all the flowers that bloom. At this moment, Lin Ling had already turned around and flew back to the mountain peak, leaving behind a sentence. His words were bold and domineering. Who else but him? Hearing those words, the army couldn't find any words to refute. Marshal Lin Ling, why? At this moment, Gu Feng raised his head and looked at Lin Ling's back with bloodshot eyes. He was unwilling to accept this. He didn't know why he lost. Sword array is soldier array. Lin Ling didn't even look at him, as he replied indifferently. This caused Gu Feng's body to tremble. Could it be that the previous sword wasn't just a sword array, but a soldier array? Soldier arrays could defend themselves. Could it be that this was the reason why Lin Ling could read while defending against his sword? This also meant that when he attacked with his sword, he had already entered Lin Ling's array formation. He learned all the art of war that he read before. The people who were the most surprised were none other than Huang Fu Yidao and the others. This was because Lin Ling had been reading all this while, and they thought that Lin Ling was just putting on an act. Who would have known that Lin Ling was really studying the art of war and comprehending the weapon formations? Most importantly, in such a short time, he actually upgraded the Ashura sword array into a soldier array. No wonder Lin Ling could block a sword heart with only 81 swords. It was because of the soldier array. What a terrifying comprehension ability. Monster. Huang Fu Yidao's mouth trembled as he spoke. Gu Feng seemed to have reacted. He finally knew why the great Azure Divine Dynasty valued geniuses. Geniuses were not only the representatives of fighting above their level, but they were also the representatives of miracles. He remained silent and walked towards his sword step by step. After he pulled it out, he looked at it with reluctance. Old friend, I'm sorry. Clang. His simple and unadorned sword had actually been cut in half by him. After he finished speaking, he strode away and said in a slightly desolate tone, From now on, I will no longer practice the sword. Everyone looked at the broken sword on the ground, then looked at the dejected Marshal Gu Feng. All of them fell silent. Wait! However, a dignified voice rang out from the peak, causing Gu Feng to stop. He said unwillingly, Lord Lin Ling, I have already taken the position of marshal and broken my sword. I have already fulfilled my promise. Did I allow you to leave? Lin Ling stood on the peak and looked coldly at Gu Feng. As a soldier, you questioned your superior. How should you be punished? Now that you've lost, you're just fulfilling your promise. Are you trying to wash your hands of the crime of offending your superior? Aye. Gu Feng couldn't refute. Lin Ling's words made sense. Kill me or torture me, it's up to you. Gu Feng threw caution to the wind. Many people in the Sky Tribute camp were shocked. They all knelt down and begged for mercy for Marshal Gu Feng. Although this middle-aged man wasn't as good as Yu Cheng, he treated his soldiers like his children. That was how he became a marshal. Why? Are you forcing me to abdicate? However, Lin Ling didn't appreciate their kneeling. Instead, he said coldly, all of you stand up. Otherwise, you'll be punished according to military law. My lord, please spare Lord Gu Feng. I'm willing to die for him. However, those soldiers still knelt down. They were extremely stubborn. All right, then I'll kill all of you. However, Lin Ling wasn't afraid of anyone. He spoke coldly and mercilessly. His words were domineering, causing all the soldiers' expressions to change drastically. Lord Lin Ling was so cruel. Stand up immediately. The soldiers in the Martial God Battalion shouted coldly. In the military camp, the military order was the most important. It was even more important than their own lives. Therefore, how could they disobey Lin Ling's orders? Gu Feng's eyes were moist as he looked at his soldiers. However, how could he let all of them die? He quickly shouted, everyone get up. Otherwise, I won't acknowledge you for the rest of my life. My lord. The soldiers all cried, but they still stood up unwillingly. Gu Feng also cried quietly. Men didn't cry easily. However, he immediately looked at Lin Ling and knelt down on one knee. My lord, please grant me death. He was a soldier. Even if he died, he would die openly. He couldn't let others look down on him. Seeing this, the soldiers of the Sky Tribute Battalion became gloomy. As for the other marshals, their hearts trembled. Lin Ling was cruel and merciless. This was a huge blow to them. They didn't dare to question Lin Ling's authority. Marshal of the Sky Tribute Battalion, you disobeyed your superiors and attempted to desert. Therefore, I, Lin Ling, have decided to punish you with a great crime. A crime of a lifetime. Lin Ling's voice drifted out. It was extremely cold, but it caused many people's hearts to tremble. It was as if they could already see Gu Feng being beheaded in public. This was to make an example out of him, so that the army would revere him. The crime of a lifetime is to serve the Sky Tribute Battalion forever. You'll be responsible for leading the Sky Tribute Battalion to a vaster sky. Therefore, Gu Feng will become the Sky Tribute Battalion's marshal. However, when Lin Ling's final words drifted out, the entire prairie fell silent. Everyone raised their heads and stared at Lin Ling in disbelief. Previously, Gu Feng had lost to Lin Ling, so he was stripped of his marshal position. But now, Lin Ling had returned it to him. This was too shocking. Gu Feng, accept your punishment. Lin Ling looked at Gu Feng and said. Gu Feng kneeled on the ground, his body trembling. He didn't seem to believe Lin Ling's words, but he immediately nodded. This subordinate accepts his punishment. All right, if after 3 years, your Sky Tribute camp is still a pile of trash, then you can bring your head to me. So, you have to do your part well. Lin Ling said again. Yes, your excellency. Gu Feng kowtowed to the mountain peak, but as he kowtowed, tears flowed out once more. On the Sky Tribute Battalion's side, everyone was ecstatic, but no one dared to laugh out loud. They were truly afraid of His Excellency Lin Ling. Lin Ling seemed dignified, but he wasn't as cruel as imagined. Your Excellency, why? At this moment, Gu Feng stood up and bowed to Lin Ling. Do I have to tell you the reason why I do things for the Grand Marshal? Lin Ling glanced at Gu Feng, causing the latter to rub the back of his head awkwardly and laugh out loud. He was grateful to Lin Ling from the bottom of his heart. Your Excellency, this time I, Gu Feng, am willing to be the vanguard for the confiscation of the 2 commanderies. Gu Feng requested. He was the first to oppose Lin Ling, but now he was the first to agree with Lin Ling. Clearly, he was completely convinced by Lin Ling. At this moment, the other marshals looked at Marshal Qianji. The old man smiled. Gu Feng, you really know how to take advantage of others. How can the Sky Tribute Battalion take such military merit? This meant that the 1,000-trick battalion would also participate in the confiscation of the commanderies. Obviously, he was convinced of Lin Ling's strength by now. Chapter 2666. Go to Tating Commandery. At this moment, far away in the distance, 2 figures were floating in the clouds. They smiled as they watched the scene unfold. In the beginning, he gave people the impression that he was cruel and merciless, making people respect and fear him. But at the critical moment, he was lenient, like sending charcoal in snowy weather. This was using both soft and hard methods. Not only did he establish his prestige, he also won the hearts of the 6 tribes. The one who spoke was Red Jade Tiger. He was originally worried that Lin Ling wouldn't be able to suppress the army, but in the end, he saw that not only was Lin Ling doing well, but Lin Ling had even surpassed his expectations. Hee, that brat is much more powerful than you. You should know that you, Chi-Yu-Hu, are only powerful in the martial god barracks. In other barracks, you are nothing but a fart. Qian Ji even looks down on you from the bottom of his heart. Beside him was Lord Eighth. At this moment, he said with a faint smile. His words made the Red Jade Tiger extremely depressed. On the other side of the prairie, the army looked at Lin Ling in awe. Lin Ling stood on a mountain peak, looking at the densely packed soldiers on the prairie. Behind him were the marshals of the 6 camps. They stood there quietly without moving. Lord Lin Ling, what did you see? Senior Qianji said with a smile. He was curious about Lin Ling, but at the same time, he was in awe of Lin Ling. That was because Lin Ling did not pretend to be majestic. He was a man of his words. Luckily, Lord Lin Ling was lenient in the end. However, Lin Ling threw the jug of wine over and didn't answer. Senior Qianji immediately opened the wine pot and took a sip. Good wine, he exclaimed. Then, he threw the wine jug to the other marshals, and the others scrambled to snatch it. To them, it was extremely rare to be able to obtain Milord's wine. Senior Qianji, you asked me what I saw at the top of the mountain. Now, I will ask you the same question. Tell me, what did you see? At this time, Lin Ling's voice floated in the air, causing the 1,000-chance battalion marshal to be surprised. He then looked at the densely packed soldiers on the prairie. There, armors were like clouds, divine beasts roared, and iron hooves tore through the sky. A magnificent army with thousands of men. The 1,000-trick battalion marshal said solemnly. Hearing this, Lin Ling turned around and looked at the marshals. Wrong. This is my Lin Ling's magnificent army. The moment he said this, all the marshals felt their hearts tremble. The prairie instantly fell silent. A moment later, an earth-shattering sound also rushed out in shock. They were all Lin Ling's soldiers. Second brother, you're so domineering. In the prairie, Sakura couldn't help but smile. Lin Ling had the demeanor of a king since he was young, and now, this demeanor was even more obvious. Amidst the thunderous cheers, Lin Ling waved his hand and said, Let's go. Under his command, the neat and tidy army left the Great Plains in a grandiose manner. Seeing this, Lin Ling smiled faintly. Previously, he was cold and emotionless because he wanted to establish his military might. Fortunately, his brutal appearance was quite effective. My god-devil body has been tempered by the power of faith and has improved again. Lin Ling also left the Great Plains and thought to himself. His physical body had always been strong and had the power of 10,000 universes. Unfortunately, he had encountered too many geniuses and experts, so he couldn't use the advantage of his physical body. Therefore, this tempering was a rare opportunity. Tating Commandery, one of the 4 commanderies, had the same history as the Great Qing dynasty. In Lin Ling's hometown, this commandery was known as the Godly Country. In fact, it was indeed so. The warriors of Tating Commandery were godlike existences in the North Territory. However, at this moment, the Godly Country was facing a great calamity because they had provoked someone they couldn't afford to provoke. That person was also telling them that today, he had come to collect the debt. Of course, there were too many people in the 6 barracks, so they didn't reach Tating Commandery in a short time. On the contrary, Lin Ling brought falling flowers, flowing water, and the others and arrived first. They had fewer people and traveled light, so naturally, they arrived faster. However, when they arrived, Lin Ling was surprised to find that Tating Commandery wasn't small. It was even bigger than the sacred rainforest. This vast commandery had 99 cities, which were filled with an ancient aura and countless experts. If a small commandery was already so big, it was hard to imagine how many crouching tigers and hidden dragons there were in the Great Qing dynasty. 99 cities. I don't even know which city the emperor of this country is in. Falling flowers, flowing water, and the others walked along the main road. Lin Ling nodded. He had the speed of 4 realms and could pass through the 4 realms. However, Tating Commandery was even bigger. Even with this speed, he couldn't travel all over the place. Lin Ling also couldn't use his soul power to cover the entire commandery. Let's go in and take a look. After shaking his head, Lin Ling said lightly. Although there were countless experts in Tating Commandery, the 6 barracks had even more experts. Moreover, they were backed by the great Qing dynasty. Therefore, Lin Ling had nothing to fear. After randomly choosing a city, they entered. However, after entering the city, everyone was shocked by the prosperity of the city. Experts of the World King realm could be seen everywhere. There were even some experts of the true God realm walking by. As expected of the 4 commanderies. They have such a deep foundation. Wow! If the sacred rainforest had so many experts, no one in the North Territory would dare to bully them. Martial God Yungu said in surprise as she stared at the experts in the city. Moreover, Tating Commandery has experts beyond the true God realm. Although there aren't many, it's enough for ordinary people to not dare to provoke them. Sakura also said at the side. However, Lin Ling didn't answer them. Instead, he revealed a mysterious smile. I didn't expect to encounter such a treasure. Wow! Treasure? Where is it? Wow! Sakura and the others immediately looked at Lin Ling. Right under your eyes is the city wall of Tating Commandery. This is the corpse of the realm-swallowing beast, called the Iron Parasol Realm-Swallowing Beast. It is one of the many realm-swallowing beasts. Lin Ling explained. Realm-swallowing beast. Yes. Sakura's face changed slightly. Little Flame and the others didn't know what the realm-swallowing beast was, but they explained the Falling Flower's water sword. The realm-swallowing beast was the most mysterious thing in the universe. Until now, no one could see through this divine beast. They only knew that when this divine beast appeared, it could swallow thousands of worlds. It had many attributes and was extremely mysterious. Tating Commandery has such a deep foundation. They actually got the corpse of the realm-swallowing beast. Yes. Now, everyone felt that Tating Commandery was indeed not simple. That's all. Yes. Lin Ling shook his head and strode forward with the others. Lin Ling and the others all had extraordinary auras and attracted a lot of attention. TSK, this group of people is quite strong. They are all in the World King realm. I can't see through the cultivation of 2 of them. I don't dare to think that they are also in the World King realm. They should be the geniuses of the 3 academies. Yes, just the 3 academies. What's so great about them? They always pretend to be arrogant. I don't like it. However, that girl is quite good-looking. She looks very gentle. Yes. Young master, you can't have taken a fancy to that beauty. Yes. Chapter 2667. They were being planted as crops. Their voices were unbridled, and many people on the streets heard them. However, many people also sneered at Lin Ling and the others. Although the strength of this group of people was not bad, and they should be the geniuses of the 3 colleges, the Tating Commandery was not weak either. In the past years, there were also some geniuses who came to travel here. However, even dragons had to lie down obediently in the Tating Commandery. This was because the pride of Grand Court County was none other than the 9 heavenly sun bones of Qingzhou. You lot stop. Leave the woman here, and get out of here. At this moment, a dignified voice drifted out from the 2nd floor. The one who spoke was a young man with golden teeth. Tai Yanzhen, son of the governor of the capital. The crowd immediately began to gloat. That young man had a powerful background. His father had the bloodline of Tating Commandery, and he dominated the area. What's more, this kind of thing was not uncommon. Many talented girls who dared to come to Tating Commandery had been ruined by the Taiyan route, but they did not dare to say anything. It could also be said that the extreme flame route was their pride. They dared to do what they didn't dare to do. That woman is out of luck. Her looks aren't bad, but I really envy the grand young master. After all, being able to play with the Academy's genius beauties isn't something that just anyone can have. Didn't you hear what the grand young master said? The passers-by discussed animatedly. Many people shouted angrily at Lin Ling and the others. Many of them possessed the bloodline of Grand Court Commandery, so they naturally sided with Tai Yanzhen and the others. At this moment, Lin Ling and the others had long since noticed those youths, but they didn't care about them. Now that the entire street was roaring at them, they finally stopped in their tracks and were somewhat startled. They had come here to search for treasures, but before they could do anything, Tating Commandery had already taken action, especially ancient martial god Yungu. She was speechless. That young master seemed to have taken a fancy to her. She couldn't help but feel sad for him. Little girl, Do you think that I am very domineering? Follow me and you will be able to eat and drink well. Moreover, in my Taihu city, you can also walk sideways. Why do you need to follow those trash? However, Tai Yanzhen didn't know his current situation. He continued to smile. Then, he looked coldly at Lin Ling and the others. Didn't you hear me? Hurry up and hand it over. If you make the young master unhappy, you won't be able to leave this city. Everyone's aura became even more domineering. It had to be said that the Tating Commandery was extremely united. I've been thinking about what to charge Grand Court Commandery with, but now it saves me a lot of trouble. Lin Ling stroked his chin and said, making Sakura and the others laugh. Sakura said, "Second brother, this kind of trash, who's going to fix it?" As soon as these words were spoken, the street fell silent. But soon, a burst of laughter rang out. Those people actually wanted to convict Tating Commandery? Wasn't this joke a little too much? Who would fix them? It wasn't just Tai Yanzhen who had heard such words, but in the end, it was the outsiders who were being taught a lesson. Hee, these people are dressed well. I want that sword. I want that sky piercer. Grand Young Master will definitely reward me. You're greedy enough. I saw that sky piercer first. The people around had begun to share the spoils. Usually, as long as they helped Tai Yanzhen, the latter would reward them. Hee, you're too much. He's a passerby and is also a guest. How can you be so rude? But a little lesson is still okay. Go ahead, but remember not to hurt the beauty. As for the man, break his arms and legs and throw him out. On the second floor, Tai Yanzhen and his friends were drinking wine and waiting for a good show. Grand Young Master's eyes are still sharp. I think that girl is still a virgin. I wonder if Grand Young Master can let me have a taste when he's tired of her? Well, anyway, there's more than one beauty in Tating Commandery. Next time, I'll catch a virgin for you. They talked and laughed, thinking that they were the emperors of Tating Commandery. However, the scene they were waiting for didn't happen. On the street, those warriors attacked one after another. Unfortunately, they were not as strong as Lin Ling and the others. Bang, bang, bang. No one knew who attacked, but more than a dozen figures were immediately sent flying through a large number of restaurants on the street. Cries of pain continued to ring out. Everyone looked over and saw that the warriors who had attacked were all sent flying. Some of them were even sent flying out of the city. What was even more exaggerated was that more than a dozen figures were sent flying in the sky. They seemed to have been thrown out. As for those that weren't swept away, they were planted on the ground like crops. This scene was as shocking as it could be. The entire street was silent. Everyone was shocked. These young men were so strong. One should know that there were more than 100 of them who had attacked. My sky piercer is right here. Who else wants it? In the silence, one of them spoke. It was the 9 spirits of heaven. Please send some stronger ones. They're so weak that I can't fight them. Little Flame said as he waved his fist. Even martial god Yungu sneered and looked at the second floor mockingly. This appearance undoubtedly infuriated Tai Yanzhen greatly. The martial artists on the streets were also incensed. Catch all of them. Tai Yanzhen slammed the table and came to the window. He pointed at Lin Ling and the others and shouted. The young men beside him smiled and attacked. They were not the geniuses of the 3 academies, but they were not weak. Their talents were average, but their families were well off. They had cultivated to a high level with powerful cultivation resources. They were quite powerful. Good, young master he has attacked. And the martial arts champion, who is ranked 7th in Tating Commandery, has also attacked. TSK, the martial arts champion who is ranked 7th. He was famous in Tating Commandery in the past. There was a genius competition in Tating Commandery. So many people knew how powerful those who had attacked were. You flatter me, you flatter me. A gentle breeze drifted through the sky, giving off an indescribable sense of elegance. Several figures leaped down from the second floor and spoke in a carefree and unruly manner, which made the warriors on the street very excited, as if they had seen the pride of Tating Commandery. Unfortunately, it was useless. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Ling did not even need to attack. Falling Flowers, Flowing Water, and the others had already attacked. As a result, there were a few more crops on the street. The top martial artists of Tating Commandery had been stabbed into the ground, leaving only their feet outside. They kept shaking their feet, which was as funny as it could get. Martial arts champions? Falling Flowers, Flowing Water, and the others said sarcastically. The martial arts champions of Tating Commandery were indeed powerful, but they could only dominate Tating Commandery. They were nothing compared to the geniuses of the 3 academies in Qingzhou. Moreover, the former strongest second generation was here. The martial arts champions would be humiliated. Chapter 2668. After beating up the young, the old had come. Do you still want my junior apprentice sister? Sword Immortal Tsang Tian smiled as he looked up at the second floor. Now there was only one person left in the restaurant, Extreme Blaze Root. His pupils shrank. In the past, the geniuses here had never been so strong. How could these people's strength be so heaven-defying? It seems that I have underestimated you all. You are clearly not ordinary geniuses. Fierce, fierce. Extreme Blaze Root rushed down from the second floor, walking towards Lin Ling and the others step by step. This caused Lin Ling and the others to be stunned. What was this playboy young master planning to do? Everything before was a misunderstanding. If you brothers are dissatisfied, I am willing to pay any price to appease your anger. Of course, all of this is to get to know you brothers, because I admire heroes and elites the most. Extreme Blaze Root fearlessly strode forwards. He seemed to be sincerely apologizing and also wanted to get to know Lin Ling and the others. This caused Falling Flower Flowing Water and the others to withdraw their auras. As the saying went, one did not slap a smiling face. This person's attitude was humble, and his goal was to get to know them, so they couldn't do anything. However, the surrounding onlookers' eyes flashed. They knew what young Master Extreme Blaze Root wanted to do. Since you all are so strong, you should be quite famous. May I ask your names? Extreme Blaze Root stopped and bowed. But after he bowed, a cold dagger appeared from his right sleeve. This was the Yali dagger, a 9th-grade treasure that could increase the strength of one's world essence by 5 boundaries. It was extremely fierce. And what was most terrifying was that this treasure could increase one's speed by an entire world. After the dagger appeared, Extreme Blaze Root sneered and instantly attacked. It was clear that he had played this trick several times already, and each time he had used it, the effect had not been weak. Many geniuses had been bewitched by his words and let down their guard. In the end, they had been crippled by this dagger. Most importantly, his dagger didn't stab towards Falling Flower Flowing Water and the others, but instead chose 2 people to attack. And these 2 people were Lin Ling and Sakura. This was because these 2 people hadn't attacked before, and their cultivation didn't seem to be at the World King realm. Thus, he chose to attack the weak. His success rate was 100%. And as long as he could catch one, then he could threaten this group of people. Then, once his father arrived, everyone would obediently be subdued by him. At this moment, his heart filled with excitement. To turn defeat into victory, this feeling was too wonderful. However, the dagger was indeed extraordinary. Its speed had exceeded the perception of falling flowers and flowing water. Great! The people around cheered again. They had long known that this would happen. However, the dagger chose Lin Ling in the end. Because Disher Tian looked rather tall and sturdy while Lin Ling's figure was thin, he should be the easiest to take down. You geniuses, your hearts are higher than the sky. Today, this young master will teach you a lesson. All is fair in war. Tai Yanzhen shouted proudly, but in the next moment, his agile body was suppressed. His gleaming dagger was also grabbed by someone. It was an arm. This caused his heart to skip a beat. He looked up and saw the young man standing in front of him with a cold expression. He had actually grabbed his Yali dagger with one hand. Blaze was Blaze God Blaze. To be able to wield a 9th-rank artifact, just who was this guy? Could he be a true immortal? But how could there be such a young true immortal? Pung! Yali's dagger suddenly shattered. Sparkling shards fell to the ground. Yali's dagger had been crushed by Lin Ling. With Lin Ling's current strength, he didn't place any world king in his eyes. Ah! Blaze Root screamed like a pig being slaughtered. His eyes were as wide as bells. Holding Yali's dagger was one thing, but now the dagger had been crushed. He wanted to ask Lin Ling if his hand didn't hurt. Unfortunately, even if he asked, Lin Ling disdained to answer. Instead, he lightly said, "You sneak attacked me?" Aye aye. Blaze Root only wanted to slap himself 3 times. He had deliberately chosen the weakest, but the result seemed to be the strongest. This is a misunderstanding. He took 3 steps back and frantically explained. Pa! Lin Ling took a step forward and threw out a slap. The slap knocked out half of Tai Yong'an's golden teeth. Misunderstanding. Moreover, a cold voice sounded at the same time. It's really a misunderstanding. I just wanted to test the sharpness of the dagger. Tai Yen-jen lost half of his teeth and couldn't even speak clearly. Sharpness. Unfortunately, what greeted him was another slap. This time, all of his golden teeth were knocked out. Enough! Blaze Root roared. He was the son of the city lord. When had he ever been slapped in the face like this? It had always been him slapping others in the face. Enough! However, another slap made Blaze Root's nose bleed and his teeth bleed all over the ground. My father is the city lord of this city. Blaze Root almost fainted from the slap. He directly brought out his trump card. City lord? Who knew that it would have been better if he didn't say it. After he said it, Lin Ling kicked him between his legs. Everyone heard the sound of eggs breaking. Many men even trembled and subconsciously touched their crotch. Ah! Blaze Root stood in place, his legs trembling. Then he screamed like a pig being slaughtered and fell to the ground like a gourd, rolling on the ground. He had been completely destroyed. His pride as a man. From now on, Blaze Root would be called Blaze Root. Lin Ling sneered. He grabbed Blaze Root from the ground and stabbed it into the ground. Suddenly, there was a new crop on the street. It was pleasing to the eye from afar. Crazy, crazy. He actually destroyed the son of the city lord. He's dead, he's dead. Everyone keep an eye on them. Don't let them escape from Taedong County. The surrounding martial artists were pale. They were so scared that they didn't dare to move. However, they were still confident, because they were waiting for the arrival of the city lord. However, they thought that Lin Ling and the rest would run away. Who knew that Lin Ling and the rest would stride forward and come to the second floor of the restaurant. They ordered wine and dishes and started eating and drinking. No one knew that Lin Ling had no intention of leaving. He didn't want to torture these trash. It was just that he suddenly remembered that there were 99 cities in Taedong County, and he didn't know where the emperor was. Since that was the case, he might as well let the emperor find him personally. As for the restaurant's manager, he was scared out of his wits. He knew that once the city lord arrived, these people would die for sure. If the city lord didn't vent his anger enough, then he would suffer a calamity. After all, who told him to give the enemy food and wine to drink? But if he didn't, then Blaze Root's miserable state caused his legs to go cold. He couldn't afford to provoke these fellows. As for the people on the street, they were all dumbfounded. Did these fellows not know that Blaze Root was the son of the city lord? That must be it. And since they were so arrogant, they would definitely regret it. What's happening? What everyone was looking forward to soon happened. A massive number of martial artists arrived, many of them at the 5th level of the World King realm. And the one leading them was an old man. He was tall and sturdy and had white hair. He was a true immortal powerhouse. You're tuning in to the Blee Maze Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.